they're going to get like, socialized healthcare or something like that. And they might feel like the liberals are just going to, not do that because of, stereotypes they might have about the group. Like, how do you think we could do a better job of just like making it more obvious that like we're going to give you, certain things that you want as, as well as, the standard stuff of a functional government?
I think that's a beautiful question, and I think there's a two-part answer to this. The first part is understanding the right-wing conservative disinformation. When right-wingers talk about the left's platform, they're almost always lying or making up whatever random conspiracy BS, and that influences people to think the left is crazy, the left is gonna, take away or do whatever absurd policy decision. And then the second part is the left needs to get their messaging. They need to get it down. They don't have a structured apparatus like how on the right they have Fox News and Joe Rogan and all these podcasters and the Daily Wire. Their apparatus is so structured they can get that message out. The left needs to work on their messaging. That is the best way we can counter that. And let's say we do get that. If someone still thinks that the left has gone too far, then all they can do is try to look at the positions from an objective standpoint and figure out what would be best for the country. But at least as of now, unquestionably, every metric the left is better in.
Also, if I was understanding your question correctly, I think you were kind of hinting at like what do we tell these like farther left people when they're wanting to vote for socialist candidates instead of a liberal candidate because they think a liberal won't give them any of the stuff they want?
Yeah, like if there's actually crossover for them, not
my actual answer to that was I don't think you need to. This is what we have primaries for. This is the entire purpose of that process, right? Like there's no need to try to convince like a lefty like, no, you don't need to vote for that socialist guy because this liberal will give it to you too. We don't need to do that. Just we have the primary. Whoever wins the primary, that's who you vote for. End of story. And if you can't get on board with that, if you refuse, then these are the people that fit into that category I'm talking about. That it just fuck them. There's no. It's not worth your time. It's not.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I just want to say for the conservatives who are listening, I think it's so important to say that we don't want to like do like a conservative gets owned. That's something that conservatives have essentially perverted with debate. They have made it a industry almost of trying to clip farm and like destroy and own liberals. And it's absurd. We want to have a conversation and we want to open dialogue, not to try to humiliate people, because that's bad faith and that's not what we want to do. That's what you'll see if you go talk to Myron Gaines. This is the third time this clown has been here, and everyone already knows that. We want to have an actual open dialogue with people and try to fix the disinformation that conservatives have been spreading. So I please invite anyone over to the microphone. Thank you. Howdy.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello?
Loud and clear.
Hey, you mentioned you want Republicans to follow Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
Yeah, in the sense of should be dropping off the MAGA boat, yes.
Do you understand why Marjorie Taylor Greene is jumping off the MAGA boat? Like her reasoning and her policies that she's trying to follow?
Yeah, I believe it was because her whole her family was going to be hurt. I believe by the ACA subsidies expiring, and also I think on the Epstein files as well.
That's her purported reason. That's what she said.
She's also insane. Like she believes in the Jewish space lasers, and I would argue that she's a populist.
I don't think either one of us would argue that.
Yeah,
Republicans, like writ large, should go in the way of Marjorie Taylor. Like, hey, actually, rather than following Trump's policy platform, we think you should go follow Marjorie Taylor Greene's policy.
Yeah.
That's how we're saying it. All I meant was that
it sets a very dangerous precedent to treat Marjorie Taylor Greene as the Republican everyone should follow, and she's saying the right things because she's against the ACA subsidies being cut.
No, she's evil for sure. He just meant it would be good if more of them jump ship.
Yeah.
Not that they should follow her policy platform. She is evil. No, I don't think either one of us would argue with you on that one.
I think that clarification needed to be said because I've seen people like Adam Mockler online talk about how Marjorie Taylor Greene is like the one true Republican or something like that. I think it's a little bit of a dangerous precedent because we want to direct the Republican Party to a more healthy direction.
No, there is no one true Republican. They're all that's done and over with.
Oh well,
sadly, yeah.
The Republicans died with Kissinger.
Hello, my name is Ryan, otherwise known as North Online, and I'm an ever-Trump Republican.
Oh,
so,
hey,
yeah.
welcome.
In politics, in power.
No, in
you
power.
don't count.
Well, I am
You
from,
and Connor don't count. Neither one of you counts because you're not.
well,
Run for office. I'll vote for you.
well, I was gonna say, I will say this. My local representative in the state of Kentucky is Thomas Massey, so I can proudly
Massey's
say that
I like
He's
Massey.
okay. He's
Yeah.
fine. He's all right. He's
I can
all
get
right.
behind Massey. I can get
fine.
behind him.
Well, he's a little insane on a couple
That's what I'm.
issues.
Yeah,
but
he's fine.
Overall, he's a lot better than the current standard of Republican politicians we're dealing with
I'm
right now.
okay-ish with yes, I do still think he's insane, but one thing that like stands out to me with Massey is like it does feel like regardless of where it takes him, it might take him in some directions that I'm not comfortable with, but it does feel like there's some underlying moral framework guiding his actions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah,
okay,
he
well,
has principles.
there's
even if
something
the
that's
principles
leading him
are
to these decisions other
weird.
than Trump
Yeah.
said so. That's
Yeah.
not what's yeah.
I think he's.
And I can sort of respect that.
Yeah, I guess I would just say that he's like a misguided individual, but at least, he can see the atrocities behind Trump. I guess if I could ask something, do you think, I know you said you're never Trump Republican,
Yes.
but like overwhelmingly, do you think that, I would assume that you want Democrats to win the midterms?
As triage, yes, I would. I wouldn't say that I necessarily agree with every single Democratic policy. Otherwise, I would be
Sure.
a Democrat. My current objective right now is just the preservation of the United States Constitution.
And that
As
right
it should
there,
be.
that is the position that every single Republican should have. There are
Yes.
things on Republicans that I think are misguided, right? And you would say the same for me as I'm a liberal. But Republicans getting behind Trump and just blatantly, violating the Constitution, like with in Minnesota, people having their Fourth Amendment rights violated, like the Asian man drug out in his underwear in the snow, for example.
It's just not. It's not just that. It's traditional conservative principles are being violated. I mean, the Trump administration was pushing for more gun regulation.
True.
When it came to, it was the Supreme Court ruling on, I think it was like felons with guns or something like that. The Trump administration is violating states' rights. The Trump administration is, they're pushing for a very weird foreign policy that is completely different from the old traditional war hawk Republican war policy. Although that kind of flip-flop with that with Maduro and all that. They're violating the U.S. Constitution. They're violating your First Amendment rights. It's just completely ridiculous.
I'm glad there's at least some Republicans left that give a shit about states' rights. I haven't heard that phrase in a while. It's,
Oh,
nice,
yeah.
it's nice to hear someone say it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I think now more than ever we have seen that states' rights are more important. I hope some of you Democrats are able to recognize that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear about something.
Yeah, putting less centralization in the federal government might be a good thing.
Hey, I've always been a states' rights person. Okay, I'm kind of in like you and Connor's camp. I'm somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah. Okay. I want to be clear about something because I feel like I've heard this like pushback from a lot like some of your ilk before. Not like you or Connor. These are the like two most like, or at least to me because I know both of you.
Yeah.
Not from you guys, but like from some of like the never Trumper Republicans, be like, yeah, but would you be on our side if it was the other way around? 100%. If our party, if the Democrat Party had been completely co-opted by an absolute psychopath communist that was trying to, just trying to set the Constitution ablaze, I would be down ticket R. 100%. I would. So it's far more about preserving the Constitution than it is about blue or red. I don't care.
Yeah. Right now it's just triage. Just try to make sure everything
They,
just
if they win,
survives through the next
I wholeheartedly
administration.
believe if they win again,
Yeah.
and if they win before they fix themselves, assuming they ever fix themselves. I know your fingers are crossed.
Well, it's not fingers crossed. It's if you're a Republican and you want to do something more, get involved with your local party politics and try to convince people that what the Trump administration is doing, they're not conservative anymore. And if you actually believe in conservative principles, then you need to go out and you need to actually stand up for yourself. Because if we keep remaining silent, we're going to let populism win.
Absolutely. Cool. Matt, thank you so much.
Yep.
Absolutely appreciate to show that there are some Republicans out there that can see the atrocities that are happening, and you're one of them. You have my utmost respect. And I thank you so much.
Yep.
Love you, North. All right, Non-Fun, your turn.
Give me your camera.
You can wreck these guys. I believe in you, okay?
Okay. Howdy.
What's up? I mean, I know both of you guys know me. I'm non-fun. I guess, I'm a Democrat. I vote Democrat all the time. I'm relatively left-leaning. We can hash out whatever minor disagreements. So I think I'm curious. I want to know, what do you guys think about single-payer healthcare and especially like pharmaceutical price negotiations? That's something from the Democratic Party that I don't really like.
I don't have a principled opposition. There's nothing there that makes me like say absolutely not. I'll never get on board. it's more a matter of implementation to me. If someone could put forward a policy that that looks like it will work very well and it will be better than the system we're currently working with, I'm not going to oppose it on any sort of principled grounds of or anything like that. I will say stuff like single payer is stuff that I would much prefer to see on a state level. But then it gets kind of weird where there's no universe in which red states, at least like in the next few decades, like pass single payer policies or do anything to try to help the actually like meaningfully benefit the healthcare systems in their states. So then it would feel a little weird to be like, okay, well, we're going to, every blue state's going to get some form of single payer or some form of better healthcare than what we have now, and we're just going to leave the red state people out to dry. But maybe that's a good thing, though. Maybe everyone will move to blue states, and we won't have this apportionment problem coming up in 2030 that it looks like we're probably going to have.
Yeah. I agree with Andrew on most of what he said. I love the idea of a single payer healthcare system, but it's just a matter of how practical it is. Almost every other developed country in the world has a single payer healthcare system. And I know that they have longer wait times, but at the same time, people aren't dying in the middle of the streets. And, people here love making jokes about, bro, if something happens to me and you got to call an ambulance, just put me down because I'm not going to be able to afford it, right?
Sure.
The fact that we even make jokes about this, it reflects the reality of there's a great problem with our current healthcare industry, and people are dying because of it. So, yeah, I support a single-payer healthcare system.
One of the things you said was about drug price negotiation. What's your gripe with the drug price negotiation under a single-payer system?
Sure. Well, first I'll say I don't like the word principled is weird to me. One of the reasons I consider myself left-leaning is because I care a lot more about outcomes than I do about the sort of weird individual or state rights stuff that I think a lot of conservatives care about. So I'm primarily concerned with the outcomes of stuff. I think the outcomes from single-payer healthcare would probably be bad, and especially pharmaceutical price negotiation. I think generally there seems to be evidence that pharmaceutical companies which make drugs that are really good, that help a lot of people, they do respond to price caps by doing less investment, by doing less R&D. And pharmaceutical R&D is already very expensive, very risky. It costs, $1 billion to bring a drug to market. And for every one drug that you bring to market, 9 others fail. It's already incredibly risky. And we have evidence from when Medicaid and Medicare did price negotiations in the past, we did see less new drugs developed. We did see less new patents filed. And those effects can be pretty big because if you sum up sort of the quality of life, adjusted life years, even the average new drug it grants about, I would have to read more to have a ton of confidence in this number, but in total, 1.2 million life years across the entire population added from the average new FDA approved drug. And we approve 50 ish new novel drugs every year. So even if you saw a 15% reduction in pharmaceutical innovation from getting rid of or from doing price controls or whatever, that would be a meaningful impact on just that. That's millions of life years lost. And I think it would be especially bad for the U.S. because we are where pharmaceutical companies really make up their R&D costs. We are where they get 70% plus of their profit.
You don't think that those the decreases in investment into new research into new pharmaceutical products could be offset by government subsidies into specifically pharmaceutical research?
So you kind of could, but for one, you wouldn't be saving much money then. So the absolute lowest estimate for approving the same number of new drugs every year with government subsidies would be something like 110 billion. That's absolute lowest, That's not that's 110 billion per year, which is not a crazy amount, but that's 1.1 trillion over the next 10 years. That is a meaningful impact, and that would offset any gains from negotiating prices down that a single payer system is supposed to help with to bring down cost. So there's that, and then to some extent you could subsidize it, but why doesn't the government subsidize research and development for other industries? It's because generally most people believe the private sector is good generally at doing certain types of research. It's better, it's more efficient at a lot of these things. What exact problems you would have with it would depend on the model. Alice, just as an example, if you were to do some type of contract for drug companies to develop something in industries with very high fixed cost, which is what research and development is. you end up with something called like the hold-up problem, where if you negotiate out like a contract and I start doing all this risky investment and I sink all this cost, now if I'm not like haven't already been compensated, if I've already invested a lot in this fixed cost, you have a lot more negotiating power over me because I already spent all this money and it'd just be a waste if I didn't continue doing it. So like now you can strong arm me into like paying a lower price overall, and like that'll increase uncertainty and that'll lead to lower investment.
I completely agree that in like 95% of circumstances, like the private sector is better equipped to just handle these problems on their own. Like the market will solve for a lot of these issues. I also, it's funny when you said like you don't think about like principled positions. I'm going to take a principled position. One of the principled positions I generally hold to is that I feel like if we as a country or if our government makes a decision, that, you know, for whatever reason, I could not care less what the reason we made the decision was. If we make a decision and that leads to some sort of harm somewhere, that like it's our responsibility to fix it. That's why I like was extraordinarily mad about like not even for like immigration reasons, but I was extremely mad about the canceling of TPS for like Venezuelans and stuff. I'm like, really, we're gonna go fuck around in South American countries. And then open up the country, be like, okay, look, you can come here, be safe, and then kick them all back out. Like I think we have some sort of obligation to at least try to repair our mistakes. And if it is the case that just as a country we've just decided, regardless of how I feel about it, if we've just decided like single payer is the way to go, and that causes, if that necessarily causes like some humongous decrease in investment into new pharmaceuticals, then the government's like, that's the trade you have to take, right? It's like, well, this is what your people wanted. Now you got to fix the problem you caused, which is less research, subsidize it. So that was also in response to you saying that the reason we don't subsidize a lot of things, like we don't love the idea of just subsidizing industries because the private sector will take care of these things. In that case, that's a government-caused problem. The reason that they don't want to invest now is because of something the government did. So the government should fix that issue.
Well,
Same thing.
I mean, I would just prefer not creating a problem in the first place.
Yeah. So when I'm kind of look at, like, again, I don't have any sort of attachment to single payer. Like there's a litany of improvements that can be made to our healthcare system that don't go anywhere near single payer. There's plenty of other things we could do that don't even move in that direction. The thing I look at here, this sounds like kind of like a cop-out, but it seems to be the case that there is such a strong demand for it, for whatever reason that may be. There's such a strong demand that at a certain point, I'm like, it's almost maybe a worthwhile political trade. Like maybe there are better options, but if we can't convince anybody, and I'm not saying we should stop trying, we should keep trying, but one day down the line, let's just hypothetical here, let's say like 20 years from now, we've just made no headway on this. Like we can't convince, the bulk of the population that like there's better options. We don't need to do single payer. That's not what we have to do. We can do this and this and this and this, and just nobody's buying it anymore, or nobody's buying it, period. There might at some point become a political trade-off there that's necessary, especially in the context of the day, right? Where the majority of our focus is going into how do we keep Republicans from gaining power ever again, or at least until again, like I keep saying, until they fix themselves. Yeah. But I don't have confidence they ever will.
I mean, I could imagine political trade-offs there being worth it. I just think I do think the policy itself is bad, and that's something that like
might be,
it makes me slightly hesitant to vote for the more progressive Democrats, who I think are more in
well, I mean, hey, you don't got to sell me there. I know there might be an unpopular opinion here, but you don't have to sell me on that. Like I'm libbed up, dude. I'm very pro moderate Democrat around here, so
yep,
you got to convince me.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. Healthcare is something I still need to look a lot more into. I think Andrew's a lot more versed on that. But thank you so much for your time.
Sure, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Bye now and fun.
All right, and for anyone who does want to come up and speak, feel free. We're here to talk. We'd love to interact with conservatives. If anyone wants to come up, absolutely more than welcome to.
God, all the libs are just raiding us right now. Well, I mean, that's not true. We got North. Well, North is a lib.
Yeah, sure.
How's it going, y'all?
How's it going?
Yeah, so y'all watched the news last night?
Specific, please?
The district attorney thing. She went up there about like the Epstein files against Congress. What do y'all think about that?
That was one of the most pathetic displays I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't think I'm just assume that I am excluding the ultra MAGAs, the people that are never coming off of the MAGA position. Just I'm not talking about them. Exclude them. I don't think anybody bought that. Do you think anybody bought a word she said? Oh my God, horrific.
I think the best thing is we already made the Dow Jones joke from earlier with the 50K, and then it tunneled down. I think one of the funniest things is watching her fumble through like her little
flipping through the book,
right?
Yeah.
Of like things she can say about Democrats to try to turn it around. It's because she knows it's indefensible. She knows that the victims are right behind her, that she can't look at them a single time. But you know what she can do? She can look at a book and try to smack talk Democrats instead. It's absurd.
Were y'all confused whenever she was talking? So I think one of the congressmen were like, oh, hey, you shouldn't have done this because you uncovered this person, or you covered him up and you didn't cover up anybody else. And then she just completely random in my mind. She was like, have you seen this criminal in this state? And I was so confused what was happening. I was like, is that the defense? Like,
Well, they have to just deflect.
Exactly.
You can't think about. Just ask yourself, what would the result have been had she answered one of those questions honestly? Just one. And pick any random one. Answer one honestly. Cooked. Insta-cooked.
Yeah, Jover. It's a fun little debate tactic. You love seeing it, and a lot of conservatives do it, a lot of people on the left do it, a lot of times on accident. But when something is just so indefensible, what do? You become a little spineless jellyfish. You don't own your position. You try to jump over to something else and hope that maybe they forget about the thing that they're about to grill you on. So, yeah, Pam Bondi is a masterclass at doing that, even though they were still catching her anyway.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. When we do, I'm saying when. I'm going to keep saying when. When we do obliterate Republicans in the midterms, I think something that should be happening is that each member of the Trump cabinet should just be getting dragged into Senate hearings every single day. Just rotate them in, bring Pam Bondi in, bring Pete Hegseth in, just rotate them in and out, and just sit there. It could be like, I think the Democratic Congress members need to be committed to 18-hour workdays. Like it needs, you need to be dragging them in and just having 18-hour hearings every single day for 2 straight years, asking the same question over and over and over and over and over and over forever. And then, okay, this is a little devious. Okay, hear me out.
Let's go.
This is
What
a
you
little devious. We know that every single member of the cabinet's getting a pardon at the end of the term, right? We're aware of that. Everyone that sticks with him.
All the one that stays with Trump.
Yeah, the ones that stick with him. If they jump ship, no pardon for you. But the ones that stick with him are getting pardons. I think we should spend at least a couple of years just dragging them all in after Trump's gone, after he's done the pardons, and we have, in 2028 we win the presidency. Drag them into Congress and just force them into lies. Not force them into lies, but ask them questions that they cannot honestly answer.
Right.
Force them into lies and just charge them with lying to Congress. Every single one of them.
What worries me...
Justice for Comey.
Because you know what? Unquestionably, if we have a free and fair election this year, Democrats will obliterate, and our job is to make sure that they obliterate as hard as they possibly can.
Did you say if?
But say again.
Did you say if?
We saw the Fulton County voter poll raids. They raided Fulton County's election office. And remember when Pam Bondi hit up Tim Walz and was saying, hey, we'll pull out ICE if you give us your voter rolls.
What happened to that, by the way? Did she get those voter rolls?
She did not. They held strong, and they still pulled out of Minnesota anyway. Minnesota handled everything so perfectly. Minnesota, my heart goes out to you. You are a beautiful state who managed to fight off a fascist attack on your state. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Who's next? I don't mean who's next speaker. What state's next? I mean, who's next speaker? If you want to come up and ask a question, feel free.
Absolutely.
What state's next? Who's getting the unhinged fascist ICE raid?
Yeah.
Next. I saw a couple of.
What's up?
My name's Hewitt, and staying on the topic of current events, either today or yesterday, the Trump administration overturned the endangerment finding, which is like that carbon, like greenhouse gases.
Yes.
Yeah,
For, greenhouse gases. Yes,
so
absolutely.
I don't know enough about it. So, in y'all's opinion, what are the long-term consequences of that being reversed?
What I believe this does is this removes several regulations on businesses such that they have to reduce their gas emissions.
I think all of them, right? The reason that the FDA could regulate greenhouse gas emissions is because it was considered, an endangerment, like it was labeled that way. Now that it's not, I don't think the FDA even has the power anymore to regulate greenhouse gas emissions at all.
And because of this, we're going to see massive catastrophic damage to our environment. So what that's going to look like, we're going to...
I'm so sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I said FDA. I meant EPA.
Oh, I don't
want to see the Reddit thread, okay?
Okay.
EPA.
But we're going to tragically see a massive influx of damage to the environment. And it just shows that this administration isn't for the people. It's just for whatever big corporations that they can put more money in their pockets, honestly.
Okay. And do you think this is like, let's say 2028, we get like a Gavin Newsom or a Pete Buttigieg in office, and they reverse that? Is the damage irreversible?
Well, the damage that was done in that time period is absolutely irreversible.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is, like, the damage that can be done in a 3-year time period, in a 3-year time period, if there's zero regulations whatsoever on greenhouse gas emissions, someone fact check me on that. I'm pretty sure the EPA can't regulate greenhouse gas emissions anymore because of that. But if there's zero regulations for 3 straight years, that's rough, buddy. That could be a lot. That could be a lot. But yeah, the next Dem president can immediately put that back in place. Right. But that's a lot of damage.
And this is a reason why people should have voted for Kamala in 2024, because Kamala wanted to expand on green energy investments with, I believe it was the Inflation Reduction Act that Biden passed. It's a great thing if you care about the environment and making sure that, the world isn't essentially burning on fire, quote by Bill Nye.
Right.
True.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This is the reason you should have voted for Kamala?
Well, we have the $6,000 child tax credit. We have the green energy. We have expanding the ACA, making the subsidies a permanent thing, which, as we all know, we lost in December of last year because Republicans are spineless and don't stand for anything. And now people are paying double their premiums. Those are just a few reasons.
Those are all the things that would have happened under Kamala. We didn't even scratch the surface of the things that wouldn't have happened if she was. We got a soft genocide going on from the deletion of USAID and PEPFAR.
600,000.
Shout out to Connor for that one.
600,000.
Favorite talking point.
Yeah. It's actually insane. It's this really interesting world that we live in where we have certain people who have foundations that go to saving young children in third world countries. And before the Bill Gates stuff with the Epstein stuff, Bill Gates now, but before that, I thought, oh wow, he does some really great work with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, saving hundreds of thousands of lives. And then we go and we make all these cuts with Doge, and now within less than a year, 600,000 people in third world countries have passed away because of the Doge cuts.
What does that mean, like 200,000 kids?
Yeah, 200, 2/3. I think a little more. 2/3 are kids, so that's about 400,000.
Nice.
Is it 2/3 or 1/3?
I think
that's
it's
a lot of dead kids.
I think it's 200,000 kids.
A lot of dead kids.
Unhinged.
But yeah, if anyone else wants to come up and ask anything, absolutely more than welcome to. In the meantime, though, so what's another thing that the Trump administration has been doing? One of the hardest things is keeping up with everything that's happening. Let me ask y'all something. Do y'all notice how every week there's something new that happens? Every week there's something new that happens. What's the next thing that happens? I don't know. Let's find out.
Oh, no.
Who's this guy?
Can I ask a question?
No. Yes, go ahead.
Do you guys think AI is a threat to jobs in the future?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah?
It is.
Do you think that...
Is there a follow-up question of what should we do about it?
Why are you being so snarky? I'm just asking
because
a question,
you're you.
man. Okay, well, chill. Jesus, all right? I'm just curious, do you think that, for programmers or whatever, do you think they're uniquely threatened by AI?
I know that the unemployment rate for programmers is currently really low. I think in the future, I don't know, as a person who does IT, I don't know how much in terms of programmer jobs will be lost. I know right now it's still doing pretty good, but I'm wondering how much instead the role of the programmer will shift. So at the end of the day, you're still going to need to have programmers who know the baselines of code, because AI is they're going to mess things up a lot.
That's what I was kind of wondering, because I feel like we've seen examples of AI making big mistakes.
Yeah.
Did you vibe code the donation overlay for stream? Because it's not updating, Andrew.
Why is it not? Nobody's. Have people donated and it's not updating?
Yeah, it's not updating.
Nice.
Did you vibe code it? Be honest.
What's vibe coding?
He absolutely did. He vibe coded it.
With AI?
We're on to you.
Yeah, it was mostly
We're
done
on
with
to you.
AI. I
We're
would have
on
told
to
you that.
There it is. Well,
Yeah.
that's why it's not updating. I'm sorry, guys. It is. Thank you. We appreciate the
probably-
donations. We got some amazing donations today
Oh, yeah.
for the Unflag America tour, and it will
Wait,
show up.
are the little noties popping up?
I don't think so, but you'll fix
boy.
it when I go on. Don't worry.
I
Go get
will fix
You'll
it.
snap easy. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you. I was thinking whether I should say it, but you know what? I love you, buddy. Absolutely love you.
I knew that's where he was going. Immediately, as soon as he started asking that question, I was like, well, I know why he's asking this, because that shit's not working back there, huh? Hey, sorry.
Going back, I guess, into who cares about streamer stuff? I'm just kidding. We all care about streamer stuff. With everything that's been going on, what is another atrocity that we have, or another like absolute failure? Oh my God! Actually, you know what we need to talk about? We need to talk about an issue facing South Carolina. Everyone here at home. That is the measles outbreak. Okay. Do you know where we are in terms of measles infestations, Andrew?
You got measles here?
We are number 1.
All right, well, it was nice seeing you guys.
I'm gonna hey, come here. I'm just gonna hug you real quick.
out. No, what's the case number?
The case number, last I heard, it's over 800. I think it might actually be around 1,000 cases. Someone fact check me on that. I love that. Actually, Amanda, do you know how many measles cases we have? It's like about 800? Over 800. Okay.
Yay.
Awesome. And you know why we have this? We have this because of senators like Lindsey Graham. Senators like Lindsey Graham put in RFK, who then pushed this anti-vax sentiment across everyone in the United States. And now we have, don't we have polio back as well?
I thought I saw a headline like that, yeah. I think, well, it's just a competition to see how many like eradicated or nearly eradicated diseases we can get back.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we're making America great again. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
great when we had all these preventable diseases. Here we go. But anyway, I guess to finish up on this, the thing is, people like Lindsey Graham are the reason why this state is having a measles outbreak. Senator candidates like Annie Andrews and Kyle Freeman will stand against that kind of BS.
Oh, no.
Yes. What do
I
you
just
want?
wanted to say, clearly, Gavin Newsom is a worse candidate for 2028 than J.D. Vance is.
I
That's
agree.
all I'm saying.
Shut
Yeah.
up, Vosh.
You know?
I agree.
You agree? Yeah.
Why would you use Vosh as the example?
Yeah, why
when we
would
just
Vosh be your
had a
go-to?
real example.
Oh yeah.
That's on.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You're right.
Hassan said that?
What
Yes,
do you
you
think
said-
about that general sentiment, though, among the further left
Oh, okay.
online?
So it depends. If you're MAGA, then you would. Then I wouldn't disagree with you. He is probably a better candidate for you.
True.
Because you're stupid. No, sorry.
Okay.
No, I think we already talked. We already talked about this earlier. Yeah, if you hear like farther lefty people like talking like that, like that's like red flag number, or not even red flag. That's just like surefire sign. Ignore these people. They're not worth your time. Like they're cooked. If your brain is that melted to where you would rather help J.D. Vance win than vote for Gavin Newsom of all people, your brain is so far like we need to. If anything, we need Gavin Newsom to get elected so he can create a new government program to provide these types of people with full-time caregivers. If you're that far gone, I don't know what to tell you.
State-funded helmet seats for the
Yeah,
bathroom?
please.
Thank you.
This conversation like comes like it recirculates like once every like a month or two, and it's the same. It's the same every time, and it's going to be the same every time until we're going to get to 2028. We're going to be having the same conversation. We're like, oh well, what about Gavin Newsom over JD? I'm over it. I don't like if you're like. There's certain positions that I hear and immediately know that the person is like you're too far gone. There's nothing I can do to help you.
Yeah.
That is one. If a person tells me that they listen to Candace Owens, I don't know what to tell you anymore. I can't help you.
Candace Owens has gone full schizo, y'all. Didn't she
There's
say
a
that
couple
Charlie had like a third eye or something like that?
Did she?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he was a time traveler, y'all. When we talked about the grifting earlier, okay, this is what we're talking about. I don't think Candace Owens is actually this freaking insane. Okay, there's no shot.
No, because she backs off of a lot of her like crazier positions when she's like gets pushed on them.
Yeah.
People that are like actually insane don't do that.
They doubled down. She goes, I know Charlie had a third eye. I know that he's a time traveler. I don't think she would probably say that in a congressional hearing or whatever. I don't think she would truly double down on that when push comes to shove.
Drag Candace Owens into a congressional hearing.
I mean,
You
I think
said
she was
that-
in one like a few years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all the like these like super huge people have probably all been up there once or twice. It drag her into hearing like, did you know when you said that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler? Do you really think that? Get her under oath.
Honestly, I think that's something that we really need to take a look at and focus on is not only just the politicians who are on the right, but also the pundits who are pushing that agenda in that conservative media apparatus, okay? Like your Ted Cruz's, your Myron Gaines, or Amru, where the hell his last name is, your Candace Owens, all these people who push all this propaganda. As a society, we need to push on these people and be like, what are you doing? How do they have any kind of validation? If someone tells me they listen to Candace Owens, I'm like, I think I need to call a doctor for you. You have been brainwashed by this woman.
Did you say Ted Cruz and then Myron Gaines back to back for your two examples?
I did.
Okay, interesting.
Hey, look, if they got Trump elected, they're in the same boat.
Okay, all right, yeah, sure.
In the same boat.
I don't know what else is going on.
Oh, okay. So we got anti-vax. We got
all right. What?
Okay. I'm gonna have a one-on-one with Ethan for a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Can I chat with Ethan for a sec? And then you go back there for 1 second, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Good luck. Okay. You're troubleshooting. We believe in you.
Oh, you want me to fix the thing?
Yeah, I believe in you. Why do you think conservatives today are so unwilling online to defend Donald Trump?
I think online, when you say conservatives unwilling to defend, are you talking about in like debate spaces? So like they don't want to go against like that?
Or so sometimes in debate spaces, but even I feel like in the first Trump term, like people would try to make excuses for him. You know, you'd have like your McCarthys, you'd have your McConnells that would try to work with him or whatever. But nowadays, like when you have Mike Johnson literally saying things like, I haven't heard about, this internationally famous speech that he just gave in Europe, or I haven't heard about these particular things. It seems like there's an unwillingness to actually defend his actions. Do you think they know that it's wrong, or do you think that they think it just looks bad defending it, or they don't have to defend it, or why?
They absolutely know that it's wrong, and they know that if they do try to defend it, it makes them look absolutely insane. Because the truth is, there's no way to really twist it in a reasonable way. I think if they really wanted to twist it, they probably could, but maybe there's like some ounce of humanity such that they know like there's really no way I can actually spin this in any somewhat reasonable way. So I think if they wanted to, I guess they have to completely sell out their souls, not just 99%, if that makes sense. But no, they know it's indefensible.
Do you think that it's fair right now on the left? I don't know if you've noticed a lot of fighting over, Hassan had some clips blowing up recently, and there's a lot of people fighting over Gavin Newsom kind of being anointed as the Dem frontrunner for 2028, which is, it sounds silly to even say it, but do you think there's too much attacking of people on the left who say they don't want to support Newsom right now, or do you think there are people who are too early trying to force everybody into the Newsom camp, or do you think it's stupid to even talk about it? How do you view that whole fight going on the left right now?
It's definitely too early to talk about it. We still have a little more than 2 years before the next election, and the problem with this left sentiment of if it's Newsom, I'm not going to support it is a foundationally wrong thing to do in the sense of I don't care if it's like, imagine if like Thomas Massey was like the next like Democrat runner-up. It makes no sense. But what I'm saying is between J.D. Vance or anyone else, I'm going to pick whoever's to the left. So
even Hitler?
Yes.
You know, at this point,
wow.
I gotta think about that one. Let me DM you the answer to that one.
Okay.
But the point is, if you're still on the sentiment of not voting Democrat, not voting blue no matter who, then you're the problem.
And the problem is also just issue of misinterpretation of value alignment. Like a lot of the left-wing people who are attacking Gavin Newsom right now, those people aren't like a part of the Democratic establishment. Those people aren't like liberal, right? In the same way that MAGA isn't liberal, those people aren't real right-wingers in the sense that they're like conservatives. They're like their own kind of populist, anti-American, anti-democratic, anti-liberal thing that would kind of exist on the same that sentiment exists on the left as well.
Why is it that the right was able to build such a broad voter coalition, though, among like anti-liberals, whereas on the left it seems like they're not as able to build a broad coalition with anti-liberals?
Purity testing is purity testing 100%.
Well, I think purity testing exists on both sides. It's just one is electorally sound, the other isn't. Like the people on the far left, they're never backing up a Democratic candidate like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom. Those people are more or less conservatives to those people. Like they actively call us right wing.
And the second thing to it, purity testing was the first thing to come to mind. But the second thing is people on the far left, they do nothing. Oh my God, this is something that needs to be said. The problem with the far left, and honestly a lot of online people on the left in general, is they aren't doing anything in real life, right? So like, it is good to make videos and cover what's going on. This is objectively a good thing, but we need to do on the ground work and do things to get communities electing Democrat politicians. And if you're just online, I mean, I'm glad people are making videos and whatever, but you need to actually touch grass. So that's why we're here, for example.
When you say purity testing is bad, like, should the left not purity test on anything? So when people say, like, we should run pro-life candidates in southern states, or when people are critical about Gavin Newsom's statements about trans athletes, is there anything the left should purity test over, or do we just accept anybody? And then at that point, how are you differentiating yourself from the right?
It depends on where you draw your lines. If you're engaging with people who I think are who have certain values that are fundamentally opposed to the party, I don't think that we should necessarily incorporate them in, especially people on the far left who aren't willing to back our candidates. But when you have people that are maybe more pro-life or maybe pro-gun on the Democratic base, and it's like the more practical decision to run them in a largely red state or red county or whatever, yeah, like that's fun. It just depends on like where the values of the person that you're running, that you're potentially purity testing lies. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. All right. Howdy.
Hi.
Sorry. Actually, on the previous topic, I personally, I'm like, I guess, a kind of single issue pro-abortion voter. Like, oh, sorry. I would never vote for a Republican, especially like anyway, but especially because they are so anti-abortion, and I think that women's lives actually matter. So my question is, yes, I do understand that there's probably some more anti-abortion like citizens living in some of these more rural, deep red states that may swing to voting for a Democratic candidate if that Democratic candidate is not openly pro-abortion. But with that said, do you think that these voters would even believe that? Would they even say that they're like legitimate in that stance? I don't think they would, and I just don't think it's worth ceding ground to them, quite frankly.
You're saying, I'm sorry, I think I might be misunderstanding.
I speak very weirdly. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're fine.
No, what I'm saying is that like so many of these voters are just not going to be convinced to vote for a Democrat regardless. I don't think that it's worth ceding ground and potentially instilling candidates that go against one of, I think, what is the most important and core tenets of the party line, to satisfy these voters who will probably not even believe that they're legitimate in that stance.
I see.
Personally.
No, I think that's actually a really great thing to bring up. And that goes back to something that was discussed a little earlier, in the sense of we have two problems. And one of the problems that you rightfully point out is that they probably won't even believe, like, if a Democrat does, like, give ground. So, for example, Fox News will, like, make up a bunch of conspiracy BS things about a Democrat that does try to cede ground, right? And how we unbrainwash those people, that's a whole different subject. But in terms of what the Democrat should do, I think that they may have to cede some ground, in the sense of, let's say you have a lot of people who are pro-life in a certain area. Is it true that the right will make up a bunch of disinformation about them? Yes, that will absolutely happen. You are correct. But there has to be some grounds, some baseline level of fact that they can look at to get behind that person. Because at that point, we will just lose them entirely. So, for example, I believe Joe Manchin, he was a very right-leaning Democrat, but he was able to win elections. So that would be an example.
I think it's also potentially an issue of scale. On like a broader, on like a national level, you're probably never going to have a Democratic frontrunner who's anti-abortion. That's probably just not going to happen. But if you're in a smaller county where your only two options are a blue pro-lifer or a red pro-lifer, like at that point, you probably should just go with the more practical route.
I do agree with that. Obviously, I think the Democrat in that situation would be way more likely to at least back, like, say, an abortion ballot amendment that the citizens of the state or, you know, wherever they're running can vote on. And I would, but I don't even know, because how can you say that you're anti-abortion, pro-life? I hate that terminology. I never use it. But how can you say you're anti-abortion and like kind of run on that to win these voters over while still not alienating one of the primary voting bases of the Democratic Party, which are usually young or college-educated women, especially black women, and we have a maternal mortality crisis in this country, especially among women of color. And I understand the practicality argument, I really do. I just don't know if it's just worth ceding ground on that specific issue.
I understand. And I think this is where the concept of incremental change comes into place, because 100% I agree in a, I guess, like ideal scenario, 100% agree. But if it's the case of having a Republican who's pro-life win or a Democrat who's pro-life win, at least with the Democrat, we are more than likely able to at least eventually get down to a more pro-choice stance. Are you familiar with the concept of the Overton window?
Oh, yeah.
Right, so what we want to do is shift the Overton window more to the left. That's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
And so if we have to cede some ground to the right to win elections, then ultimately so be it. But in the future, we ought to work towards that ideal scenario.
Yeah, and on incrementalism, if you're running two candidates, if you're running a blue candidate in who's pro-life in a largely red state, you're probably never going to get pro-abortion or pro-choice policy in that state regardless. So why not run the person who can probably at least get you a step closer to that?
And I sympathize with that, but you brought up Joe Manchin earlier, and I get it. He was good for West Virginia. He was definitely good for West Virginia, and his being to the right on certain social issues is most likely what won him that state so many times. It's just he voted against, and it wouldn't have passed anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter, but he voted against the Women's Health Protection Act at the same time that Roe v. Wade was being overturned. Now, I personally, again, I can understand a place like West Virginia being very anti-abortion, and so perhaps his mentality, if I had to give him the benefit of the doubt, was that he was representing his constituents well. I understand the incrementalism argument. I really do, and I do agree with that. And if Joe Manchin was still in office, maybe we would have an easier time in the future. Or if he still kept representing that state, like taking on these bigger abortion protection, pieces of legislation, I guess you could say. I could 100% see that. And I completely respect that, he would not have ceded the results of the 2020 election to Trump. Absolutely, 100%. I just personally, as somebody who, this is a very important issue to me, and I'm very passionate about it.
Absolutely.
I personally would not want to see that, but I do sympathize with the incrementalism argument, I guess I should say. So.
Well, I guess if we're kind of speaking to broader issues of, well, how do you even get people on board with supporting a pro-choice candidate, even if they are blue, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you would kind of have to almost shift the culture or shift the understanding of the voter to think about just the extreme and very, very special time that we're in. Republicans are uniquely evil at the moment. They're uniquely anti-American and uniquely anti-democratic.
Uniquely anti-woman.
Uniquely anti-woman as well. And so I think we just have to help the voter understand whatever pet issue or personal one single issue that you may vote on, that may need to kind of be sacrificed in order to just help preserve our democracy.
Yeah, I personally think that for some of these issues, it's just very hard to cede ground on that, and that's the biggest one that I.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's definitely like hard to change the mind of voters, but like we really have to hammer home how like I said, uniquely evil this current Republican Party is.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess like to put a bow on this, if we were in West Virginia and it was between a Joe Manchin Democrat or MAGA. At the end of the day, like both are not ideal, but like, would you agree that voting for Joe Manchin would be the best solution?
Definitely better. Yeah, I would never disagree with that.
But let me ask a better question. Oh, sorry, not to demean your question, but let me ask a different question. If it was down to Joe Manchin or like a MAGA type, would you personally vote for Joe Manchin over that MAGA?
I'd do it holding my nose. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think that's just the sentiment that we need for voters, even if you don't fully agree with all of the policy positions, even if it's on a very, very important issue to you personally, you just have to understand the broader cultural zeitgeist. You have to look at it from a 30,000-foot view.
And I certainly don't want to take up any more of y'all's time.
Oh,
but
no,
I will
you're
say,
doing fine. You're doing great.
pro-abortion and pro-choice, that stance is very popular across the United States right now. I get that every place is completely different. Here in South Carolina, it's actually probably grown a little bit more popular in recent years. It's probably more of like a 52-48 split if I had to guess, or maybe like 52-40, some undecided. So I do think it's still worth it for Democrats to just keep up with the pro-choice stance, especially since we know that voters do trust Democrats more when it comes to issues like abortion, reproductive health care, gay marriage, all of that stuff. That's kind of where I'm at. But
Absolutely, and I 100% agree with everything that you stand for and what you just said. That is the ideal scenario, and that is the future that I absolutely want to work towards. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
We're bringing someone in.
Ooh, okie dokie. Do I get to say?
Yeah. Our favorite new person, or my new person. You've known him.
Favorite. That's nice.
Go ahead.
Oh, I get to go?
Yeah.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want to give an astounding shout out to the people who were able to make this event happen. And the people who are able to make this event happen are the students who I've been able to collaborate with, who I've been able to work with on getting national ground games set up at the University of South Carolina.
Woo!
And I am so grateful for all the work that they put in. And we have our president right here. Would you like to introduce yourself, my friend?
Sure. So my name is Mark, and I'm the president of our chapter. We're official on GarnetGate, so you can just look us up there if you don't know how to find us, if the million QR codes don't help you enough or something. Hey, it's fine. It's a confusing world these days, right? But yeah, my name is Mark. I'm the president. I never thought I would go into politics or anything like that, but with trying times, sometimes you're pushed into roles that you're not always looking for, but you step up and you kind of take charge, right?
Absolutely. In fact, honestly, I'm an IT guy, by heart. I want to develop video games. I didn't want to go into politics, but when you have a fascist regime take over, you kind of have to step out and do something about that. And I'm so grateful to have people like Mark here to help us accomplish that fight. And the second thing that we need to talk about, other than just getting chapters set up across colleges, is that we need to have people donate so we can keep the fight going. People like Myron Gaines, people like Charlie Kirk, like Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, these conservatives, they have billionaires who are funding them to go out on crusade against college campuses. And we're a true grassroots organization.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many billionaires do you know off the cuff?
Yo, where is my George Soros money, dude? Where is my Soros money? Well, there's all these claims of the paid agitators. And it's like, yo, if this is true, where do I call? Okay, where can I start getting something from these people? But in order to keep this fight going, so we can counter people like Myron Gaines and Michael Knowles and all these other, honestly, I call them skinwalkers. They don't believe anything they say. To counter these people, we need people to help us keep the fight going, and the best way you can do that is by checking out the link that's on screen or in our bio, or checking out our merch store if you'd like to get things to help support the tour go. We can keep up the fight, and that is thanks to everyone watching this. And y'all, I thank you all so much. And Mark, you have been absolutely astounding.
I appreciate it. I just want to say too, you don't even have to like be left wing or anything like that. Come on, like don't tell me if someone's a right winger that they don't want to debate better people. Like the debate's part of the fun of it, right? Like you can go wail for Gatch all you want. Throw us a couple bucks. Wail for us a little bit. Like come on, right? You want better enemies. You want better like discussion, better discourse, and all of that, right? And I want to say something else real quick while I got the mic and nobody's taking it away from me yet. You don't even have to be left-leaning or anything like that to support the blue midterms, because even if the left gets its radical, pipe dream, if we want to call it that, which is impeachment, it goes to J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is not even blue,
One thing that we were talking to earlier, where I think we had one or two never Trump Republicans come up. And I want to make it clear, you can be a Republican at heart, for what Republican used to stand for, and still vote blue and support this this organization. Because the truth is, we just want to have democracy. We want to get rid of this fascist regime and bring it back to some sense of normalcy, not what we've seen in the last approximately 8 to 10 years or so. That's what we want to do.
If we want to talk about conservative values, I just want to take this opportunity to point out George Washington mandated inoculation of smallpox for the Continental Army. And this was in 1787, if my memory serves me correctly. So inoculation and vaccination is not only a conservative value, it's a contemporary military value, because if you're just to get into the military, you have to undergo a rigorous vaccination regimen, and then to deploy to certain locations overseas, you have to take follow-on inoculations and vaccinations and so forth, depending on where you're going to, depending on what you might be exposed to and all of that. So this should be a bipartisan issue.
Absolutely. It absolutely should be. But I believe we'll probably, I need to see the time, but we'll probably get another speaker. Is time yet?
No, Andrew's coming back in.
Andrew's coming back? Excellent. Oh, look at that. Mark.
I was just getting too nervous.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you so much.
I kind of fixed it.
No more vibe coding? I just have no idea what it even looks like on the back end there.
No, it looks like I made the classic mistake of not testing it before I showed up here today. I just went with the flow.
As a
to
developer,
be fair,
that happens all the time.
I learned that strategy from Steven, okay? So it's his fault, if anything. Show up unprepared.
Hey,
really,
look, that
really,
is-
it's learned behavior.
That is a lesson that I wish Donald Trump would learn, and it's that if something happens, it's you can say like the manager's fault. Just so it's like Steven taught me it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, true.
Straightforward.
Boss's fault.
Yep.
By the way,
Yep.
but speak. It's hilarious to me that Republicans don't understand that concept. Like you live your every part of your life that way. That is how we live every aspect of life. If you work at any place, and you make an error, and the big boss shows up,
Yeah.
they're not gonna tear you to pieces. Your manager's getting cooked though, for
Your
sure.
manager's getting cooked, dog.
Whoever's in charge of the place. And last time I checked, the person in charge of the place right now is an orange clown.
We have an orange
Give
clown.
him the blame.
It's absurd. But yeah, if any conservatives want to come up and ask genuinely about anything, we just want to understand your position and discuss whatever it is on your mind. But it could be about abortion, it could be about feminism, it could be about tax cuts. Genuinely, we just want to hear anything that you've got to say.
Destiny will be coming up in about. Well, I mean, I can't give you an exact number. He will be coming up when he gets back. He went to go grab his 15th Red Bull of the day, but he'll be back after that.
That dude loves his Red Bull, man. He
sure
loves his Red Bull.
Oops. Mooten's watching right now. He's here. He'll be up in a second. Any last minute questioners? Anyone want to tear into us for the few microseconds we have left?
You know what's crazy
North
is
does.
when I was out here canvassing, getting people to talk and want to join up on the organization. Oh, there are a lot of conservatives wanted to say stuff, but not actually talk. And that's come on, let's actually talk. What's up, partner?
Just yapping at you when you're
They'll walk
stuff?
past and be like,
One more question before
yeah.
the whole shit show starts.
yeah, should be fun.
Idealism while losing, or realism but abandoning all of your ideals.
All of your everything you believe in out the window.
As in, okay, so there was a discussion before about purity politics. That something about the MAGA movement is that they are able to basically excise anyone who doesn't support Trump or doesn't support the Republican Party. I think that's a misframing of how the Republican Party works or how the MAGA movement works. There's no ideals to be purity tested on.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is
it's
simply
just support for the candidate.
Yeah, it's just support for Trump.
Yeah. Do you support
So-
Trump or no? That's it. That's the only question.
Well, yes, exactly. So that is the realism with no ideals.
Yep.
But it's been proven to gain elections. So if
Yeah,
the
sort of.
idea is that the Democratic Party needs to copy the realism of the Republican Party in order to gain a win in an election, then should they abandon their ideals in order to just give up everything in order to gain seats? Does the end justify the means? Does gaining power justify getting rid of all ideals? I'm not necessarily going to judge it for anything.
I see what you're saying. And to a degree, the answer is yes. If the limitation is that you're having to compromise or sacrifice some principles in order to secure the win, then probably. If you're having to sacrifice all of them, then it's the same result.
Yeah,
If I got rid of every principle that I hold in order to win an election, that would just be MAGA. All my principles are ultimately antithetical to MAGA. So if I threw them all out in order to win, we would just have a blue MAGA.
But if throwing away all of your principles was the move in order to gain the most political power, then that's losing with the idealism, So do you think you can maintain the idealism while running against someone who will literally throw away anything and everything if it just means that they gain political power? Do you think that is possible?
Again, in my eyes, the result is just the same in both scenarios, right?
It's a contradiction.
If MAGA wins again, then none of the principles that I hold dear are represented in government. They'll go against everything I believe. But if I throw away all my principles to win, then that government is also doing the same thing. So it's the same result. That's why I make that caveat of some. There's a few things that I would compromise on that I really, really believe in, really hold true. But if I have to sacrifice a couple of things that I really believe in to maintain the rest of the things that I really believe in, I'd probably be willing to do that. I'm a huge you're gonna agree. I'm a huge pro-gun person.
Yeah.
But if it was MAGA again, or a Democrat majority that was telling me we're gonna repeal the Second Amendment, that's just gone. But we will do nothing else that we'll give you everything else you believe in. We'll give you all of it, but we're repealing the Second Amendment. I'd vote for them because that way I keep some of it, but the MAGA way it all goes. I don't like that.
I'll be getting into this later if Destiny will allow me to get out or not. It'll be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Well on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yay.
All right. Anyone else wants to come up? Absolutely welcome to the mic at any point. Oh, man. Okay, so in terms of you know what? Earlier at breakfast, we were talking about that episode of Crossfire with Jon Stewart and Tucker Carlson. I think it's really cool to see the pundits behind all these things. Mm-hmm. Andrew, how do you feel about the pundits, and how many of them do you think are actually that level of insane?
On which side? On the right?
Right side.
The level of insane that they portray? You're basically asking me how many of them do I think are grifting? I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes with some people whether or not it's a grift or whether or not they truly believe it. It does get kind of murky sometimes. like there's probably a decent amount of both. There's a solid amount of Republican pundits that truly do believe everything they say. They are just crazy people, and there's a solid amount of them that know that they will make millions of dollars doing what they're doing, and they like money, and they're like, okay, well, I'll do, yeah, sure, I'll do this for money. So I don't know, because that's a really hard question to like boil down to. It's a lot easier to do on the individual level, right? When you like look at a particular person, you analyze, like you can go through and analyze everything they've ever said, and you can probably come to like a semi-accurate determination on whether or not they believe it or they're grifting. And you'll be wrong sometimes, but yeah, you can be like kind of close to accurate, but like on the aggregate, I don't think you can. There's both of those things exist heavily in their party and in ours, by the way. Like I don't want to like probably more. They probably have more grifters on their side, but it exists over here too. There's some people I know don't believe some of the shit they say, but they say because they're like, this is what I'm supposed to say. Like this is the thing I gotta say. I've heard like creators like say stuff along those veins of like I don't know how much I agree with this, but it's the thing I have to say because my audience thinks I expects it.
There's one thing I'm really curious about, and I want to ask the audience. Okay, I want to ask the audience, what is y'all's view on Joe Rogan? Okay, do y'all like if you watch Joe Rogan? Raise your hand. Okay, one. Anyone else? Oh, never mind. It doesn't.
What's your view on Joe Rogan?
Dude, I really can't tell like if his brain's just been like melted for all the shit he smokes.
I don't think if you're gonna do the grifter or stupid analysis on him, I don't think he's grifting. I think he's just dumb. I think he's just an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I don't know.
What's up,
big dogs? When do y'all think violence should be is like morally okay? When it comes to the state at least.
Yeah. So the thing is, so first off, right out the bat, I want to say that people in an ideal situation should never commit violence. Violence is bad. Everything that anyone reasonably side with. But the great thing about democracy is we don't have to use violence to get a change of power. So what does that mean? When we had a king, right? What was the only way to get rid of a king's rule? We had to get guillotines. We had to get these things to violently overthrow the king because the people had no say. So in terms of when does violence realistically have to happen, morally I would say it's justified once democracy gets thrown away, because at that point there's no other way to implement change.
But thank God
ideally people shouldn't do violence.
President hasn't tried to coup the country or steal an election or anything, or trying to do that right now.
Yeah, right.
That would suck.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I think the whole political violence thing exists on I would say it exists on either a similar or the same use of force continuum that we see from law enforcement in the military, like lethal violence or just violence in general. It's an escalatory thing, and he's hitting on it. When democracy fails, I'll give you an example. If it were the case, not Fed boasting, if it were the case in Minecraft that midterms got stolen legitimately, we could show evidence of that. The midterms were stolen. I think that's your point, right? It's well, okay, we've used our last, our last attempt at doing anything less has been used. So,
can you see the poisoning of the information pool itself as a hindrance on democracy?
Yeah, I see exactly what you say, and I would say, yeah, I think that is hindering democracy. Absolutely.
Well, right, we have the Trump ad. I don't think you can believe anything that gets posted on WhiteHouse.gov or any .gov organization right now. Okay.
You like the new Jan 6 page?
Oh, it was great. Great stuff. Good read. Yeah. But
no, you're right about that. But we've known that the whole time, and I'm gonna keep coming back to the same concept over and over. I think we have hit the point now where if you're a MAGA person or you're on the right and you're still defending that sort of stuff, you are gone. Then that's just it. You're gone. But we've known that the whole time. When the government's posting, taking down studies that have been that were done a long time ago and have been cited to for years, and they're taking those down and replacing them with the January 6th webpage. The right-wing violence, that right-wing violence study that everyone always cited to.
Yeah.
And they took it off the website, and they're like, hey, here's this new Jan 6 page that says basically Trump did nothing wrong, and it was actually a Fed insurrection. We've known the entire time that we can't believe anything they say.
How long down the line do you think that do you think the responsibility stems to? Do you think it stems to the pundits that hurt our democracy?
Yeah, I would say it's the pundits.
1,000,000,000%.
100%. I think it's the pundits.
Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, it also depends on. Just like I would say the same thing in a criminal context. It depends on mind state, right? If you're doing something blatantly stupid because you're legitimately stupid, I'm gonna put less blame on you. If you're doing something spreading fake information, knowing that it is.
Well, I was talking about like on the use of force. Like, do you think that
Yeah, but
responsibility dispensed? Then,
you drew your own line when, like, in what you said. You said like you asked us if misinformation was like a hindrance of democracy, and it is, but it's not a removal of democracy. And like my answer remains the same, that removal of democracy, that's the line.
I think as well.
It's a hindrance, no doubt, and there should be punishment. I'm all for punishment, but we're not talking about.
Yeah.
We're not talking about punishment.
I mean, imagine you effectively poison the news media enough where, I mean, you do have a democracy, but I mean, let's say the left is actually like these violent terrorists, and every Antifa member is like in the Democratic like Congress or whatever the right wing Breitbart says is actually true, right? I mean, isn't that in and of itself ruining democracy? Like, I don't know.
I see what you're saying. So I think it absolutely is a poison to democracy in the sense of like, how can we actually have any meaningful discourse if people don't know what's real? And I totally agree with you. And honestly, I love the idea of being able to stop the disinformation, but at the same time, like, what does that entail? And the answer, I don't know. But in terms of like, is it morally okay to potentially do a violent action or whatever against a bad faith pundit? I would say no, because when you do that, that gives them legitimacy, right? It makes them. Say again?
I would say they're not even looking for legitimacy.
But it still gives that to them anyway.
Why would that matter? They're going to do it regardless, right?
Because then the outcome is bad. So, for example, like, you know, if we have like a Nazi here and then someone punches him, then you get the crying Nazi, and it's like, oh, my freedom of speech. Oh, my. Like, I want to make it clear. Someone's a Nazi. I really don't like that person. They're really, really bad. But, like, practically, now they get to look like a victim. And that's why I'm saying it's a bad thing. You shouldn't do it.
I don't know if I would totally agree with that. I mean, you can look at, like, analogs throughout history of multiple times where you have authoritarian leaders, like, creating a problem.
Right, but that's when we have the authoritarian leader, we've lost democracy at that point.
We would never have that in America. All right.
Yeah, we'd
Thank
never.
All right, thank you so much.
We definitely have an authoritarian leader right now. I think. Yeah, I think my line on this one's pretty firm. Like, I'm just kind of waiting for November. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Listen, in Minecraft, if that election gets stolen, they will definitely try to. I think there can be like broad agreement here. They're going to try something.
Yes.
They're going to try to do it, and if they do, well, that's your line. Found it.
Yeah. But
if they steal it, like if it's stolen, then we can't we can't undo that democratically. Like if it's done and over with at that point, that's the line. Yeah. Because you would want to try you'd want to try one or two things first.
In a video game, though, of course.
You'd want to try. You'd be like, hey, let's see if the courts have anything to say about this, and if they don't, okay.
Yeah.
That's your line.
No, but I think that was a wonderful question, honestly. Excellent question. But yeah, no, I think something that a lot of people don't realize is how democracy is being eroded, not just with like January 6th, but also with Trump's consolidation of power, right? So like abusing emergency powers to throw tariffs on every country in the world and tariffing islands inhabited entirely by penguins. Like, this is an absurd thing where Congress is supposed to hold the power of the purse, not the president abusing emergency powers.
Yeah, I kind of want to return to the point that North made about sacrificing some principles. Like, this is a thing. This is a thing that we already do quite a bit. We just don't think about it as much. Like, we just we had an absolute blue tsunami blowout in the 2025 elections.
Beautiful.
And I live in the state of Virginia. We had elections there. We had a new governor. We I don't even know how to describe the obliteration that occurred in my lovely state. And I knew going into that election that I had talked to a few of our our current House delegates and a few Democrat House candidates in the state. And one answer, I asked them about a lot of things they wanted to do, and one of the things that all of the ones that I talked to brought up as something that they want to do was a flat assault weapons ban. Very against it. I own a couple, and I like them a lot. So I don't want to see a ban. Regardless of that, even having them tell me this is a thing we're gonna do if we win this, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. It's a fact. still voted for them, still advocated for them, still endorsed all of them, knowing full well, like, well, shit, there goes my my ability to buy assault weapons. Now they did put a grandfather clause in, so I can keep the ones that I have. That's nice. But no, like knowing full well the compromise I was making, I was like, well, never buying another one of these again, unfortunately, even though I like them. And I did that knowingly, right? Because we do these kinds of compromises all the time. Like, okay, this candidate is going to do some things that I don't like, some things that I don't want, and some things that I would stop them from doing if it was up to me. If it was my call, I would tell them, no, don't do that. But it's so much better than the alternative. I would not want to live in a red wave Virginia or like a completely red-controlled house with a red government. No, I'm good. Hard pass. So we make these compromises all the time. I think it's okay. The calculus is how much are you giving away? How much are you compromising? Because if you compromise at all, then you just are MAGA. Again, we're just back in the same spot. So I'm looking to go in the right direction. As long as the candidates that I'm voting for are committing to taking me in the right direction.
Yeah, most of your principles.
Yeah, you got my vote. Like if you're going to take me in the direction I want to go in, then we'll do it. And that right now is just emphatically the Democratic Party. Okay, blue no matter who, get them.
Absolutely. Everyone, I just want to say I'm so happy to have you all out here. And it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to people and have everyone hear our message. Andrew and I are going to get ready to swap out. And we're going to have Destiny over at the microphone in just a little bit. Everyone, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Hey. All right, let's make some noise for Destiny. He's going to come out in just a minute. If I can get Andrew untangled.
Yeah, you really done a number on me here.
Okay, you were holding it. All right, so let's hear it for Ethan and Andrew. All right, well, I have some swag. If you guys can get loud for me, I'll throw some swag out to you guys.
Yeah!
Oh, I heard one. Let's hear some more. I clearly don't play Frisbee. Come and get him.
Oh my God, please, this would mean the world. I love you, thank you.
All right, let's get some folks up here to come talk to Destiny. Oh, we're getting people. Come on up.
Test. Just mute. Did you mute it? Is it muted now? On all feeds, it's muted. It's not coming through anywhere on the stream, right? Just push the M thing. You mother.
Let's see. I won't count my chickens before they hatch, but you'll be good.
I'm not really gonna debate Destiny. I'm gonna bring up an interesting subject.
Whose is this?
I'll take it.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, is this on?
Oh, we shut one of them off. Might have been that one. Sorry. Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So I wanted to ask you your thoughts on how the Epstein files are being handled, because Pam Bondi, she's an idiot how she's handled them. Like, she's protecting pedophiles, and I think she needs to resign. What are your thoughts on Pam Bondi?
The biggest disagreement I would have there is I think we have to be careful when we call these people idiots. I don't think they're idiots. I think they're being very intentional with what they're doing. I mean, this administration came in promising us a ton of stuff from those files. It seems like forever ago, but Pam was the one who said that they were going to do a massive release, and she gave those binders out to it was 10 different influencers that were holding up the Epstein Files Part 1. And I guess we're still waiting for Part 2 or Part 3. I don't think it's ever coming. You know, we've heard the FBI got orders to redact Trump's name and probably a whole bunch of his friends from the documents. Yep. We haven't gotten the full release yet, despite the law that was passed by Congress, basically unanimously requesting them. I mean, you asked me if Pam should resign. I mean, I feel like half this cabinet should resign. I feel like Trump should probably go, but I think, unfortunately, I think what's happened, what you've seen is the same pattern is kind of repeated over and over again, where Republicans always talk about this deep state. They use very scary words like them or they, but they never really specify who. And coming into this admin, I don't know if they thought they'd find stuff with the Epstein files or if they just were hyping it up because they wanted to win off of, an election theory or whatever. But yeah, I mean, they finally have the time to put up or shut up. They've got Congress, the Supreme Court, they've got the motivated people in office, but they produce nothing. So I think there should be massive accountability for it.
I was actually very supportive of Trump before all the Epstein stuff happened, and then after I saw all that stuff, I just felt really betrayed by him, and a lot of his base, a lot of my friends that are also Trump supporters, they felt the same way, and I just think we really need accountability from Trump, and I do think if he continues this fiasco, I think he does need to step down, and I think Congress should start demanding more accountability from Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think one of the sad things, one of the lies that the conservative movement has kind of sold, especially the MAGA movement, is that there's this massive conspiracy behind everything. And I think the kind of boring thing is, for a lot of stuff, there's not really a conspiracy. It's just a lot of stuff. If you've ever joined a project and there's stuff you don't understand, and you think you can get rid of a ton of stuff, usually you start to realize when you start throwing stuff away, oh, wait, well, this was here for this reason, or this was here for this reason. I mean, this shows up in so many different projects that you could manage. And I think when the Trump admin came in, they told us there was a conspiracy everywhere, when in reality, some problems are difficult to solve. There's not an easy catch-all fix for illegal immigration, for crime, despite them pretending that they've solved crime in 3 or 4 different cities. I mean, everybody knows that's not true. Trump says 0 people across, but really 0. It's not even really a believable lie. I think the issue is when you oversell your kind of populist positions like that you can come in and completely and totally fix a problem with a very simple fix. I think you're always lying to your base. And I feel like that's kind of caught up to them this time. And I think the people that should feel the most upset are the people that cared about the issues coming in. If you thought there were bombshells in the Epstein files, you should be upset that Trump is ordering his DOJ and Pam is ordering the FBI.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought there was bombshells that would expose a lot of the pedophiles in our government.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, either outcome is almost just as bad. If there are pedophiles and they're protecting them, I mean, that's a really bad thing, right? You had Elon Musk throw a temper tantrum when he got kind of ejected, and he was like, well, Trump is in the Epstein files. And it's okay, well, where are they? Why don't we see those? But also, if there aren't bombshells in there, I think you should feel equally upset. It's well, hold on, did you know this was BS the entire time? You had people like Bongino on podcasts saying, well, I've got sources in the CIA and the FBI that are telling me all this information. It's was that just a lie? So I think either way is really bad.
A lot of some Congress members, Nancy Mace, they're being very performative about it, and I don't think they're actually protecting the victims. How do you think we should better protect the victims of the Epstein files?
I mean, having a functioning DOJ that doesn't seem to be trying to win political points, I think, is the most important. It's a shame because people say, on the conservative side, people will talk about the lawfare and the weaponization of the DOJ by Biden. But if you're a liberal on the left, everybody hated Garland for how slow it seemed the legal process went when it came to the Mar-a-Lago indictments, when it came to the appointing of Jack Smith for the January 6th case. There was 2 years in the administration before this stuff was really getting off the ground, and people were really upset about that on the left. Meanwhile, on the right, they claim that it's all political lawfare, but then as soon as Trump gets into office, he's truthing out, to Pam Bondi, the exact people that he wants to indict, the exact lawyer that he wants to use to indict him, and it's for all the weaponization, they don't really have any results that they seem to have produced yet. We've got, regardless of how you feel about illegal immigration, the whole process is being, completely fudged up, and they're just messing up so much stuff procedurally that even if you want them to be effective in shipping people out of the country, they can't seem to do it effectively. And it's a shame. I think that, for what you said, what do you do to protect victims? As boring as it is, we have processes in this country that are kind of important, and if you have to have people that can navigate the process and procedure, and they should know better. And when you start to mess all of that up, I mean, you're doing a disservice to the victims, you're doing a disservice to the American public. Crimes are things that we all have an interest in the state prosecuting, and if there were crimes there to prosecute, then they might have irreparably harmed the ability to even do that.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for the question. Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you? I used to watch you on Twitch, so I'm a big fan, but even though I know that's a little messy, but
you're good, don't worry about it.
So as you know, our system is incredibly corrupt, and I feel like it's just these past 2 years that we've been really kind of being exposed to it all. I mean, it's always pre-existed, but I think like right now, like the media is like really like going hard on like everyone's like investigating themselves like individually. How do you think we can, as a country, pull ourselves out of like this ongoing cycle of corruption? Because clearly it's on both the left and the right, and it's like, how do you rebuild a government for the people again? Because that was who it was originally built for. I know this is a very ambiguous question, but
No, it's okay. I'm going to give a very unsatisfactory answer. I think at some point, when there are no enemies left, like the enemy becomes yourself. When you have nobody left to fight against, you kind of look around for enemies to fabricate. I think it's good to step back and sometimes ask ourselves, like, what do we mean when we say, like, the whole system is corrupt or everything is messed up? Like, if we look at where we were, and even arguably where we still are, where we were as a country a few years ago, right? We have the largest economy in the world, despite we don't have the largest population.
Mm-hmm.
We have the most advanced technology in the world. You know, we're still leading, maybe I think, against China with AI and crypto and everything else. We've got, obviously, the most commanding military presence in the world. You saw how much Russia struggled in Ukraine compared to the missions we've done in Iran, compared to the toppling of Saddam Hussein. Like, to say we have the best colleges in the world, people travel from all over the country or from all over the world to come to the schools in this country. Like, America has a lot going for it, and I think it's hard to reconcile, like, how can all of these things be working if our system is truly as like corrupt and rotted as everybody says it is? I don't really think it is that way. I think we have problems, and I think what happens is sometimes there's like a conflict of interest, or sometimes there are multiple people polling at both ends. And when we only consume our media, it looks like the answer is very obvious.
Right.
But I think the answer sometimes is a little bit more convoluted or a little bit more complicated than it seems to actually solve a thing. And so instead of actually wanting to kind of chew through that process and figure out what's going on, you know, people are very quick to throw the corruption thing around when there are two sides to a lot of issues and people don't really look at the other side. A really, really, really common one is like, if you wanted to appeal to the vast majority of Americans, like, what would you do about the cost of housing and the cost of rent? Like, the very intuitive answer there is that it has to come down. The reality is you want it to go up if you want to appeal to the majority of Americans, because most Americans live in homes that are owned.
Right.
And when housing prices and rents go down, it technically hurts those people's assets and equity. But that's a very unintuitive answer. Nobody really talks about that in the media. So when people are trying to figure out, like, well, how do I bring down the cost of housing? Nobody really addresses the fact that you're going to be hurting every single person that owns a home or owns an apartment building or whatever else. And that's just like an example of, like, we are quick to insert corruption and evilness when it's really, like, it's complicated. There's a lot of different moving pieces in this country. I think there is corruption that's worth weeding out, but I also think that we have a lot of processes in place, and for whatever reason, we just don't pay attention to them sometimes. So when Doge came through and they wanted to, you know, claim that the government was wasting all this money, one of the big claims they made had to do with Social Security and old people, dead people on Social Security. Every single number that they posted came from a 2023 Office of Inspector General report. So every single, like, every large federal, every federal, like, office has a counter thing called an Office of Inspector General. So every time you hear, like, a watchdog group found this, it's the Office of Inspector General that, you know, audits and investigates the main office that they're the counter to. And all of the stuff that Doge was saying was already in an OIG report from the OIG of the Social Security Administration. But, like, this is the thing that, like, nobody pays attention to. And so sometimes, like, somebody walks in and they go, oh, this is a bad thing. And it's like, yeah, we know, we're working on it.
Right.
But nobody sees that process.
So do you think the complexity also applies to, like, a congressional level, like, in terms of, like, when people are trying to, like, make legislation, pass bills so we can, like, alleviate the complexity in, like, the systems, like our housing system, or for example.
I mean, I think the biggest problem is we just have to have honest conversations about it. Like, I think there can be legitimate disagreement, you know, whether we're talking about housing or healthcare or whatever else. Like, I think that there are arguments you can make to have it more privatized. I don't generally side with those. I think there are arguments you can make to have it more government, funded and government applied expansion Medicare or, like, single payer healthcare. But the problem is, like, we have to be able to sit down and have the question and have that conversation. Like, there's a huge difference between talking about how do we balance the interests of, like, resources and people that need healthcare and what do we do about that? That's a different conversation than big pharma wants to kill Americans and big socialist wants to kill all of our businesses and big government wants to kill everybody. Because, like, when you're having that conversation, what are you even talking about anymore, right? You're not actually like we can have this debate, like, all day over who's trying to murder each other, but we're not getting any closer to solving any of the problems. And then those problems are still existing, and then they're just getting exacerbated. And then meanwhile, now the current admin is gutting all of the systems that were auditing those things, and it's like you're just making everything worse. Like, nothing's gotten better, you know?
Yeah, and I think also, like, a lot of, like, the current admin is really being, like, delegated by those big super PACs and, like, those of, like, the upper social class, and it's like, how do you like, ever since Citizens United passed, it's like, how do you undo that? And because I think like a lot of like, that's where like, you know, most of those private equity companies are buying out like housing all across America, and it's like, we're already like deep into it. So I guess like, yes, it's complex, but also like, how do we like pull ourselves out of it? Because like right now, like Congress is very bought out, and again,
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to, it's a boring answer, but like we have to be able to have honest conversations about what's going on. So like when it comes to Citizens United, again, like people like to point that out as that like, you know, big donors are buying up a lot of stuff, and super PACs there's a lot of money that goes through those for sure. And I'm sure they influence the way that congressmen vote. We know that there are companies that insert legislation into bills. They're basically writing them for the congressmen to insert into the bills. But then again, it's like on the flip side of that is like, what does a limitation on freedom of speech look like when it comes to being able to spend money on congressional campaigns, or when it comes to being able to spend money on things that are parallel to congressional campaigns? Like a fundamental question related to Citizens United is, let's say there's an election coming up, and let's say that I want to fund a huge movie that I think is really important, and it has to do with climate change, and I could be pro or anti-climate change. Like, does that count as a campaign contribution? And I think that these are really difficult questions to answer, but they're really good questions to ask, and we can start legislating it. We can see, like, maybe like you could argue right now we've peeled back too much. Maybe it shouldn't be that you can have a super PAC that has 9 figures of money flowing through it that's helping people win elections. Maybe we legislate a little bit heavier against that. It's like, you know what? If this is an issue that we decide is too political, you can't throw in unlimited money at it and we just pretend that it's an apolitical project. But again, it can't be that, like, you know, Jews and APAC and super PACs or communists or whatever, or, you know, whoever is controlling all this. It has to be an honest conversation about like, what should that environment look like? Yeah.
I guess
the more that people keep hijacking everything with these stupid conspiracy narratives, like the longer we're not having a conversation about what should freedom of speech and campaign contributions, what should that actually look like? 'Cause we never have that conversation, you know?
Well, I guess like, yeah, I agree. And I also think that a majority of like the conspiracy theorists and like where their reasoning is rooting from is a lot of like distrust in our current government, and also like government over time. And like, it's a very like sticky, it's getting stickier and stickier because, again, like, things about the Epstein files and like the last girl just said, like, everyone's information coming out, the redactions and all of that stuff. It's like, I think it's hard to blame conspiracy theorists when we're withholding valuable information to the American people, and we're not being transparent. So
yeah, I don't disagree, but we need to expect more of our political leaders, of our cultural leaders, people in media, people in podcasting world, people on YouTube or whatever, and we need to expect more of ourselves. Like, everybody's had, if you have a group of girlfriends or whatever, you know, a girl breaks up with a guy after 5 or 6 years, and there's always like that weirdo dude who's like consoling her, and like everybody knows he's a horrible, terrible piece of shit, but he's like, he happens to be in the right place at the right time, and you're always telling this friend, it's like, listen, I know this guy's saying whatever, but like, this guy is a horrible person. He's just trying to capitalize on your misfortune.
On the ongoing damage.
And you always say, like, you can't, like, this guy is going to be horrible for you. And, you know, sometimes people fall into those rebound relationships, and after a year, they realize, like, okay, fuck, these were horrible, you know? And when I look at, like, all of these, like, skepto people, or I look at, like, the current administration especially, it feels like a bad rebound relationship. Because you get these people who are saying things like, Big Pharma is poisoning us. And it's like, okay, maybe, but it's like, you're sponsored by how many different supplement companies that, you know, there's little to no FDA oversight on a lot of this. Like, you're pushing a lot of the same conspiratorial bullshit, but nobody is, like, skeptical of you. You know, if people went in and they were like, I'm really skeptical of the administration, and I'm also skeptical of all these podcasters, that would be one thing. But when people are like, I'm skeptical of what the FDA or the CDC says, but I believe every single thing that Joe Rogan says wholeheartedly, it's like, okay, well, that's like, that's not very skeptical. You're very selective with your skepticism. And like, these guys are selling you the same bullshit just on the other side of the aisle, you know? And I think that's a problem, because then we just yo-yo back and forth between.
So it's really about like creating a healthy balance, like.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, like what we're doing here, I guess, with the Unfuck America tour, or what I try to do when I talk to other people, it's just like, if you start having like real conversations, eventually through that discourse, you'll start to, you know, like carve a path forward in a better direction that's like actually solving the problems.
Yeah.
But going from, you know, getting rid of vaccines and eating, you know, vitamin C gummy bears, and then like bouncing back, like, this isn't working. Like, we're not getting anywhere. Like, I have fucking measles outbreaks in my country. It's insane, okay? This is, I'm supposed to be able to make fun of other countries for that, all right? Like, measles outbreaks, that's crazy in the United States.
In South Carolina,
we're going to lose our, we're going to lose our elimination status for the disease.
Right.
And it's because people think that the guy, you know, that's selling you supplements is more trustworthy than the 400 civil servants in the CDC or the NIH. And it's like, why would we believe that? Is that really, like, have they really served us better than everybody? Yeah. But so that's very frustrating to me. I want the better conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, I have to go take a midterm, but thank you for your time.
Good luck. Yeah. Thanks. Hey, how's it going?
Going great. So hopefully, if the Democratic Party gets back in office in 2028, do you think there should be some type of larger authoritarian state as a result of the actions of the Republican Party so far? Well, I'll just let you answer that.
Well, I'm a liberal, democratic, constitutional guy, so I wouldn't like an authoritarian state, or what do you mean?
So I feel like there should be some amount of like disenfranchisement from the Republican voters, or there needs to be like serious consequences when it comes to how our system works. I mean, if we punish these people, the mechanisms are still all in place to go ahead and take advantage of our system. We see our system at least has some faults, some cracks in it, right?
So here's the issue when it comes to a system, right? Like, this is the analogy I always use. If you show up to your friend's apartment and you guys are playing Monopoly, and some dude, is losing, he lands on Boardwalk, you've got, hotels there, and do you guys play Monopoly anymore? Is that a game you guys play?
Big time.
Okay, gotcha. So he loses all his money, and he takes out a knife and he starts stabbing people at the table. There's not going to be anybody at the table who says, for the next Monopoly game, we're going to write the rule no stabbing people, right? Because it's like, this guy's clearly not playing by the rules and doesn't care. He's just trying to get whatever outcome he can. The idea of looking at the current administration and saying, like, okay, well, we need to fix this and this and this and this and this, you're never going to be able to stop a corrupt executive. Like, the executive, the executor of law, has theoretically unlimited power, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that we expect to carry out the full faith and goodwill of what Congress passes, like to carry out the laws. Now, not to separate that, there are some changes that I think we should make. I think there are good arguments for a dramatic expansion of the Supreme Court. At this point, I think there are strong arguments to get rid of the filibuster. Like, these are things we can do, but the idea of trying to patch the system against like a Trump figure, I don't think it's possible. There should be some kind of repercussions, though, so that Republicans don't think they can act like this in the future and get away from it scot-free, because that's just crazy.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of what I was referring to. I think, I don't know why I said system, but I'm talking about the people responsible for propping up this admin, like the voters itself. That's what I meant by expanding the authoritarian state upon people who can get the right to vote or not. I think if you're sitting here and you're voting for Trump in 2024, do you think that these people should still be able to like choose who our presidency is? Like, clearly they cannot make a good decision by their own accord, right? They shouldn't have like autonomy, right?
So like, I separate these out between like the believers and the deceived, kind of, or the non-believers and like the deceived. I think you have these people in media, so like your Jack Posobics, your Ben Shapiro's and Jordan Petersons, your Candace Owens. These are people who I think they're evil people who are selling you lies, and they know they're selling you lies. Like, they know at the end of the day that everything they're saying is absolute and total bullshit. But the issue is, like, for the people that are persuaded by those people, sometimes I don't know how much I fault them. Like, I might be mean on stream sometimes and everything, but like, depending on the media environment you're in, it's like really brutal. Do you know who Asmongold is?
Of course, yeah.
Big streamer. Yeah, so if you watch this guy and you look at the way that he just browses his X feed, like, man, like, if you're inundated with news like that every single day for weeks, months, years, it's not surprising for some of these people that they fall into kind of the pitfalls that they're in. Like, and to be frank, like, I do this all day, every day. I have the luxury of being able to sit back and read a ton of stuff and talk to a bunch of experts and blah, 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 blah. For the average person who goes to work and they come home and they might just browse Twitter, or they might turn on the news and look at or watch a podcast or whatever, I wouldn't expect this person to start critically breaking out, statistical analyses of studies brought up on Joe Rogan to decide whether or not they're right or wrong. I think the responsibility there lies with the media environment, the social media, and the creators, and I think we should demand more from them. So in terms of, to get back to your question, for the accountability aspect, there needs to be accountability for the people that are lying intentionally. Like for Fox News, when they pushed the whole Dominion lie, they all knew they were lying about that. They all, behind the scenes, it all came out in that Dominion lawsuit. They all knew that they were complicit in that lie. That's unacceptable, and I think all of those people should fall in a legal manner or something. And I think you should find a way to hold them accountable. But like, for the average voter that just votes, like you said, we say vote dumbly. I mean, it's hard to blame them when there's such a massive system that's been designed to hijack everything they care about and then take advantage of them.
Okay, so I mean, that would be kind of, in essence, expanding or like clamping down on our First Amendment if you're going to head punish these people for lying.
Is it though?
I mean, yes.
I don't think so. I feel like there's something to be said for like freedom of speech and the ability for truthful statements to be evaluated honestly by the public versus everybody being able to lie. Like,
well, in America, I mean, you have.
Well, but
the
I
right
mean, even
to
in
lie,
America, like, you can't defame me. Like, I could sue you for that, or you can't plan a crime with somebody. That's conspiracy, right?
Do you want to just sue these people, or like how do you expect
I don't know if it'd be
punishments?
through the U.S. government suing them, or some kind of like criminal conspiracy that you'd find them on, like kind of like the Jan 6 thing for Donald Trump that Jack Smith was going to do, but got tossed when Trump won, or they rescinded it when Trump won. Like that, you have to find a way to do it. I don't know if it'd be best to do it like criminally or civilly, but I don't think it would be an attack on our First Amendment or freedom of speech to like hold people accountable for just telling lies, because if anything, at the end of the day, I think it damages our ability to have free speech if you don't know who you can trust when people are talking.
Yeah, no, I largely agree with that. I just think that, like you said, we need to dish out punishments to the pundits, at least at a minimum, right? And I don't know if the people that aren't able to discernate reality from fiction should be given the right to vote. They already showed that they're irresponsible with it. I mean, that's like the point and the benefits of like a technocracy. We're still able to combine that with not like a technocracy, but like having the more intelligent people vote on a candidate. It seems like we kind of like solve that issue of democracies when we disenfranchise.
Yeah, but I don't know. Are more intelligent? I might have internally believed this, but not publicly said it maybe 10 years ago. But now looking at all the crypto finance bros or whatever, I would consider. I don't think Mark Andreessen is stupid or.
Well, sorry. By technocracy, I kind of just meant people. I guess I shouldn't have said technocracy. But. I guess I was saying people that have more merits in the system who understand how government should work or how America functions.
But I mean, we should be able to sell that to the American public. There's a world where we run the government substantially differently, but then we kind of have ended the democratic project. There's something special to the idea that every single person can vote and the public will decide through deliberation and consumption of media and statements by politicians, everything else. We decide who we think is qualified to run the system. If it gets to the point to where the public can no longer do that, then we have to ask ourselves if there's something that we can change about that, or if we're done with kind of the liberal democratic version of government, ready to move on to the next thing. I haven't quite given up on the democratic version of governing yet, but the question comes down to what are we going to do about social media platforms and just the massive amount of lies that exist in our media landscape right now.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, so I guess the final thing is so for 2028 is the only punishment being dished out, I guess, is not allowing these people back into office and then going ahead and attacking, or not attacking, but you know what I mean by going ahead suing these top media pundits. Is that truly the solution to these problems? What's not gonna?
I think not barring a lot of the conservatives from office that were complicit in a lot of Trump stuff, I think is a good first step because it discourages future people from doing it. Because remember, the sad thing is that if you look at the Republicans that exist right now in office, they're kind of doing the thing they should be doing because there's been no repercussions for it, right? So if there is accountability in terms of that, in terms of being barred from running for future office, I don't know what impeachment looks like for senators or people in the House. Actually, I have no idea what that process is like. But if you're impeached as president, you can't run for office again. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe civil liability for a lot of the pundits that lied. I don't know who would have standing to sue them, or maybe some kind of criminal conspiracy if they were collaborating to lie. Maybe that works. But even if it's just a lot of lawsuits that ultimately don't end up in success, just being sued so much would hopefully discourage that type of behavior in the future. There just has to be some kind of discouraging factor. Because right now, if you're a Republican and you're well, I kind of want to, or if you're a MAGA person, you're well, I want to lie to the public a whole bunch about everything. You kind of should, because there's a whole bunch of money there. There's a huge audience there. There's no negative repercussions. You can always pivot out in the future. And that shouldn't exist. They should at least think oh, I'm going to have to deal with a lot of bullshit, either getting sued or whatever else at the end. I think that would hopefully gum up that process at least a bit.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm back up.
Hi, what's up?
Kind of what you were just talking about, I think, with the way that our media landscape has just been totally fucked, especially by the conservatives and Republicans and these conservative pundits and media heads. I think my biggest worry, and of course this probably just falls under that, I'm assuming you've probably heard the claim that there was a religious resurgence among Gen Z and Zillennials, or have you?
I mean, I have, but no offense, young people believe a lot of things and they come and go, and yeah.
No,
there was also that 30-point swing conservative, or the 30-point difference, I think, between Gen Z men and women, and I think that vanished in 6 months or something. So I never know how big these things are, but I have seen it a lot online and everything. Yeah.
Well, the biggest issue to me is not even just that that was just spread around so much, but it was misconstrued. It's not actually. I mean, there is some sort, I guess, of maybe, a big coalition of religious people, maybe more casually religious Gen Zers, and maybe some more that are definitely hardcore, I guess you could say. But there was no resurgence. It wasn't 1950s America, which is, I guess, what they were trying to, say that it was. And I guess maybe this is just me overthinking things, but unfortunately, perspective matters more than, I guess, hard facts. And at this point, which really bothers me, but that's kind of something that I'm worried about. It's the same thing with like people believing that all of these women want to be like trad wives, like stay-at-home moms, even though we all know that women are actually outpacing men in college enrollment and college attendance. And it just bothers me because if you look at these trad wife accounts, most of the viewers are actually made up of men, and so it's been kind of basically theorized. I saw somebody describe it as like porn for people who think porn should be illegal, which
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And I think the thing that I am more concerned about is just knowing how people work and like the psychology behind so many people and how we get so swept up in bandwagons. I'm just very afraid of these narratives being perpetuated, and like, even though it's obvious that they are just not based in reality at all, and that kind of fucking over even more what we already have. I don't know if that's coherent, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's going to be kind of boring, but relating back to I think the first person I chatted with, is because it's difficult to have like a hard, nuanced conversation about what life would look like for young people going forward. Mm-hmm. And when that's a very complicated thing, people want to look to easy, simple answers. And that's just a very attractive thing to look for. But like, people should ideally strive for more, or at least the content creator should be pushing people to more. Like, there's a lot of like male empowerment stuff that's disguised as like tough self-help, but it's like really all like just plays into kind of like these male power fantasies and everything.
Exactly.
And yeah, when you've got like women that are attending college, women with access to birth control, there's like a lot of options available to them that there weren't before. And the idea that we can ever go back, this is one of the most frustrating kind of lies or myths that conservatives tell, is that we can go back. We can go back to more manufacturing. We can go back to women not voting. We can go back to traditional, like, you can't really, like, culture never moves backwards. Like, the world is changing. Every other country is changing. Everything is changing around you. And what you have to do is you have to find a way to adapt and move forward. And some people just, that's difficult. There's a lot to do in order to actually make that happen. So people just kind of watch the power fantasy stuff and they kind of like get sucked in by it. And then when you do that, and when you're told that that's the answer, and then life isn't getting any better for you because it's not, there's never in the history of all of mankind been a girl on a Tinder date who sees a guy across the table open an Andrew Tate video and she's like, thank God I found the one. This is the guy for me. This never, ever, ever happened, right? But like, when people think that and then things don't get better, they're like, oh, well, things must be even worse than I thought. You know, like somehow you have an idea, and then when that idea isn't making things better, it like reinforces the idea like even more, and then they get so mired down in this thing that's never going to help them. And yeah, it's just people's unwillingness to have like difficult conversations around complicated topics, unfortunately.
Exactly. And I'm probably, at least on like feminism and gender issues, I'm probably way more, I guess, to the left or radical than most of your audience. Sorry, I'm a women's liber.
That's okay. We're a women hater here, but my audience is 90% men, so what are we going to do, you know?
But I have also just I've had a lot of issues with, I think, some of the narratives surrounding, like, the left has to appeal to men. The left needs to regain men. The left, completely screwed up with men, and specifically young men, and they feel like they have nowhere to go. So, of course, they have to turn to the right. And I think, at least in my perspective, I think, okay, if you feel so disillusioned or just so, I don't know, left out, whatever the issue may be, to the point that you are willing to vote for people who say that they want, like, raped 10-year-olds to carry pregnancy to term, how can I ever believe that you are actually maybe even towards the left anyway? Like, how can I believe that?
I'm very sympathetic to that. Depending who I'm talking to, I'm a big hater of a lot of that type of thought. The idea that, like, oh, like, I saw this feminist thing, so now I'm a Nazi. And it's
Exactly.
like, okay, that's kind of weird. But like, I do think that the biggest criticisms I would have of the left when it comes to this, especially kind of like the more social left, I don't think you have to, create a party that is like welcoming men and inviting men back and loving men, but it has to not shit on them like insanely. And it's frustrating too, because the left has a lot of tools, especially if you dig into like intersectionality and everything. The left has a lot of tools to analyze how people perceive the environment around them, but for some reason those tools are completely neglected when it comes to analyzing sometimes people who are of majority classes. And I understand majority classes have different experiences, but in some ways we have like very universal experiences. So for instance, we all like to see ourselves represented in media and stuff. Like, it feels good to see somebody that looks like you, acts like you, talks like you, is from the same area, whatever intersection of identity that you have. It's nice to see that represented. If you're to understand that making kind of misogynistic comments or kind of racist comments, but it should be okay and it's not a big deal. And then people on the left will say, well, it's not okay because it can be, you've got the concept of microaggressions, you've got othering, and there's all these reasons why you can't do it. It's like, okay, fine. I buy into most of this, but then if all of this is true, how am I supposed to feel welcome in a place where they're like, kill all men, kill all white people? And it's like, okay, well, Jesus, and it's like, well, you just need to be better than that. It's like, and what they do is this problem of, and trust me, I believe a lot, I understand a lot in terms of majority-minority class distinction. There's a lot of different stuff going on, but at the end of the day, like the ultimate unit of analysis of any sociological study is like an individual, right? It's the individuals who you care about, and even if like white men are the majority class and do have most of the power in this country, an individual white man might not have that same perception, but he definitely will have the same perception of his individual experiences as any other individual in society. So when he walks into an environment and it says kill all men, especially if you're like a lower class, working class white guy, you're not thinking like, well, at least there's a whole bunch of people that look like me that are Fortune 500 CEOs, because that guy probably hates those people too, So it's like, yeah. So I'm not a big fan of this, but I'm also kind of an asshole. I'm not a big fan of this baby all men or whatever to make them come back. But I do think they kind of probably have to peel back on like the massive like man hatred sometimes. I feel like it's not been as extreme over the past couple of years. I feel like that peaked in like 2013, 2014, even though conservatives tell you it's getting worse every day.
Oh,
but,
yeah. I guess apparently like childless cat ladies all around the world or something. I don't know.
Anybody but yourself. Blame anybody but yourself for a lot of these people. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think they'll use things like the fact that women are attending college more than young men, typically, as some sort of statistic about how like, oh, the world is actually working against men. And I just say this again as somebody with my own individual perspective on this. I'm the first in my family to ever even earn a bachelor's degree. My father did not earn a bachelor's degree, and my mom, I think, only attended community college. I think she only earned an associate's. And before that, the only formal education most of my family members had was up to high school. So I was, and I'm kind of a weird case. I'm an only child, and I'm like the only grandchild.
Sure.
Because none of my parents' siblings really had any children. And so for me, I was always told the best way to earn something, like make something of yourself, was to go to college. And my family is nowhere near like progressive or liberal or anything like that. And I think that that's what is told to a lot of women or young girls, and then who eventually grow to be women who attend college. Just because outside of maybe a few industries, there's not really anything that I can think of that's female dominated, or any sort of industry or, oh my God, like work path. I don't know the wording here. I'm so sorry.
Career, maybe, yeah?
Yeah, career
Sure.
path, excuse me. That women usually are able to easily attain without earning a college education. And so, yes, sure, if you want to say that that's a potential, issue for men, sure, go on ahead. But I don't think the issue is helped by conservatives telling men for 10 years, like, oh, learn how to code, don't go to college is stupid. And then these same, like, Republican politicians, I'm sure they're not like all formal politicians, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
They would never send their son to like an electrician's apprenticeship. They would never do that. They're sending them to Yale.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And again, I mean, to return to the central theme, when you don't have good conversations and you have the bad ones, not only are you giving people bad information, you're not improving their lives, and then they're not having like access to the actual help that they need to actually advance or further themselves. They're just getting further mired down in whatever system they're in, which is very sad, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for hearing me out on that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, dog?
Hey,
Big
what's up,
G
buddy?
is in the house, Destiny.
Okay, Big G, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. I would just like to say something to you.
Oh, boy.
How about instead of unfuck America, you unfuck the relationship with your son?
Okay, I'll get right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But what I would like to debate you on
More
is...
life advice?
Huh?
More personal life advice?
Well, I wouldn't take it from you, considering you're being
No, I was
sued
asking you
for
for
sharing
life advice,
porn
'cause
of
it
other
feels
people
like you
without
have,
their consent.
you got your
dude.
life together real well, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I got like almost 4.0 GPA, and I'm a
Wow,
senior about to
that's
graduate.
Crazy. Oh my God, that's good for you. What major you in?
Public health, right now. Yeah.
Cool, good job.
Then hopefully med school afterwards. But what I would like to
You
seriously...
taking your MCATs yet?
No, I've been studying for that. I'm taking a gap year. But what I would like to debate you on is capitalism.
Okay.
So, I don't know that much about you, but whenever it comes to...
You don't know any of my positions, but you have personal attacks for me? Okay, that's fine. No, it's all good. Go ahead.
But yeah. So you're a why do you attack like people on the left and stuff like that? And depend.
If people aren't liberal, I usually attack illiberal people because I don't think we have the same common values.
I mean, yeah, but like, I don't. I think that's like kind of antagonistic. Also,
I do want to be antagonistic to people that don't have the same values as me. That's the definition of
yeah,
politics,
I know, but shouldn't
right?
we be uniting against the right instead of attacking each other?
You wouldn't unite with people that don't share fundamental values, right?
Well, fundamental values right now should be attacking fascism in America. And the corporate oligarchy.
Attacking fascism is like a subset of attacking illiberal ideology, and I think communists or socialists also have illiberal ideology. So I don't think I would
they're not
want them.
fascists, though. It's an antagonistic attitude because fascism promotes capitalism, monopolization of the economy.
Well, I think liberalism promotes capitalism. So I mean, I don't know what you mean by that. Like if you're an anti-capitalist, if you want to like abolish all private property and abolish the, your participation in like the ability to vote for different things that other people might not like I wouldn't really consider that a political ally.
I mean, you don't have to abolish democracy. You can have democracy and socialism as well. It's a complete ideology, democratic socialism. We've had instances of democratic socialism in countries that was elected democratically, such as Salvador Allende's Chile.
In a socialist country, would you be allowed to have a party that advocates for a capitalist economy?
I mean, it just depends on how free the economy.
In your socialist government, would you be allowed to have a capitalist party?
I mean, yeah, sure. But
okay,
I don't think it should be given power.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean,
you see, you can't even just say no. You would. It's okay. You can argue against it, but like to say that you have like a totally free democratic system, but like there are some ideologies that are literally banned from competing in your political parties. I mean, obviously that wouldn't be completely free, right?
Ideologies are completely like amoral and exist for the exploitation of the labor class, though.
That's fine. You have that opinion, but at the very least, then,
it's not a democracy. It's true
right?
that they exploit the labor class. They kill millions overseas. Nestle company killed 8 million people.
Okay. How many people died in the Holodomor? How many people died in Mao's revolutions? How many people
under
died
capitalism? Even though we have a resource surplus in regards to food, 8 million people die every year due to food insecurity. We have constant wars for imperialism, constant wars for
How is socialism solving any of these? Do we have less wars with the Soviet Union or what?
Soviet Union wasn't starting wars and doing like proxy shit.
Really?
No,
what do you
not
think
in
where
comparison
tanky
to
comes
America.
from? The Hungarian Revolution.
You
What do you think all the?
Who overthrew Salvador Allende's Chile? Who overthrew Nicaragua?
I'm not
Who
saying
invaded
capitalist
Panama?
countries are perfect. I'm not going to argue that. Of course, there's issues. I'm just saying I don't know why we
You're
would assume that.
comparing an aggressive power to more of a defensive power.
You think the Soviet Union was just defensive?
They weren't fucking overthrowing every single country that had socialist
What do you
values
think the
left and
Soviet
right.
Union was? How do you think they got all those other countries in the Soviet Union? It was by overthrowing their governments or supporting people to overthrow
but those
the
were
governments.
domestic revolutions in many cases.
Domestic
you
revolutions
have to have domestic support
that
in
were
order to do a
supported by
revolution.
the Soviets? You think Afghanistan? You think all these were just domestic revolutions? The Soviets just happened to. Do you think the same in Ukraine
So you
right
think
now?
every single one of those people who overthrew those governments were were Soviet Union agitators then?
I think there's a reason why when the Soviet Union collapsed, the countries that left didn't want to go back. There's a reason for that.
Well, the Soviet Union didn't exist when, also, when you're talking about like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, even Ukraine, they all voted to stay in 1989 with the Soviet Union.
Why didn't they even go back after 91?
Because the Soviet Union dissolved under Gorbachev after he did an illegal dissolution.
Russia?
What?
Why not try to join Russia?
Because Russia is a capitalist oligarchy.
Okay.
It's not.
That was their issue after, is that Russia became too liberal for them. They wanted back their Soviet overlords.
The economy collapsed under shock therapy, dude.
Sure.
Nobody's going to want to rejoin that. It did. GDP collapsed under Boris Yeltsin.
Yeah, I'm aware. I know you guys say Yeltsin. Okay, today in our political system, like, the problem is also like this is so pie in the sky. Like, so for instance, if we talk about like progress towards whatever world you want, what candidates would you even support today that are already in office besides Mamdani? Would you even support Mamdani anymore?
Oscar Cortez is a really good one. Bernie Sanders, even though he's kind of become more liberalized. I mean, democratic socialism is something that Americans want right now.
Then where are the politicians winning elections that are Dem socks? Why don't they exist anywhere?
Elo Omar, Democratic Socialist, Oscar Cortez.
So we have the Justice Dems, those four.
The city that has the greatest GDP production in the United States, New York, got a Democratic Socialist mayor.
Yeah, so New York City, a very blue place. I'm aware of that. But outside of like these plus 30, plus 40 like blue places, where are all of these Dem socks? Why don't they win elections in like competitive areas, in purple areas? Why don't they win elections in red areas? Why is it the only elections they can ever seem to win? The very, very few they have, the 5 that you've pointed out, the 4 Justice Dems and Mamdani, are in like super, super, super blue areas. That makes it seem like the people don't generally want democratic socialism.
Well, yeah, you have a polarization. America's a heavily propagandized population. Red states politicians.
Okay, then I can't. You understand? I can't win the argument, right? Because on one, you just said that most Americans want this, and then when I ask, well, why don't they win elections? You say, well, because most Americans don't want it because of propaganda. Well, what am I supposed to say then?
Well, nobody can doesn't even know what democratic socialism is. But what is
democratic
happening?
Socialists don't even have a consistent definition for democratic socialism. You can even tell me if you would allow capitalist parties to exist in your system,
Well,
or
I'm not
that
a
people say the
democratic
Soviet Union
socialist.
wasn't socialist. Or
I'm not a democratic socialist, though.
What are you, a socialist?
I think that you can't really have democracy and socialism at the same time because capital will overthrow the system again and become reactionary forces will
Sure, so you want like a
capital.
vanguard party and you want to like have a violent overthrow of the whole capitalist class and everything.
Well, I wouldn't say for like legal reasons I would want like a revolution or anything like that.
Sure.
So.
Okay, sure. So. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. We have a system that exists today where we have a two-party system where we can push, further to the left, we can push further to the right. None of the people on the far left that identify in your camp want to support any Democratic candidates basically at all.
Why would you want to support Democratic candidates? They're not giving us universal health care. They're not easing tuition. They're not making America necessarily affordable right now.
That's great.
And they're
And that
caving
makes
into
for a
Trump.
really
They
good, like,
congratulated
Facebook post,
ICE.
but,
There's
like,
no reason
you
if
have
you're
to
left-wing to
push-
support the Democratic Party. They cave in. They're the fucking fleshlight of the Republican
I
Party.
agree. Okay, that's fine. And if you want to have that opinion, that's great. But just don't pretend to be a Democrat.
It's not. Everything
Just
I stated
go
was
make
fact.
your own party.
Gavin Newsom struck down a bill
No.
for public health care in California.
I'm familiar with all these lies. I don't really feel like running
It's
through them all
not a
right
lie.
now.
It's
It is.
fucking-
It is. If you feel this way, that's fine. But why not make your own political party then? Why like be a leech or a cancer in the Democratic Party that just sits here from an
I'm
ultra
not a
privileged
member of the
position
Democrat
to-
Party.
Okay, then don't be. Then you're not. Then don't advocate for that. And you shouldn't be. And I wouldn't want to form a coalition with you because we're fundamentally misaligned in values. We're not going to share the same values on almost anything. Which is fine because we live in America, in a capitalist liberal America. We have the right to disagree.
Dude,
I don't know
you
if we would
literally
in your
brag
country,
about
but
putting Nick Fuentes on the map, dude.
do you think I put Nick Fuentes on the map? The
You
guy that works with
literally
Kanye
said that
West
online.
campaign.
You said that online.
Well, if I
That
said
you
it, so
bragged
it's true.
about
But
putting
I
Nick
haven't I
Fuentes
also said
on.
I didn't put. What do you mean? I've platformed him because I've debated him in the past. I think you should have debates with
Yeah,
people.
you platformed him, then you bragged about him becoming famous, did you?
I don't think I was the one that made Nick Fuentes famous.
Then why do you say it?
I don't think I do say that.
There's literally a video of it, along with an N-word
There's a
compilation.
video, or there's like a 7-second clip of me saying something. You saw it on subreddit once. Okay.
I mean,
Any
you got a
other-
clip of it. I mean, you can say nuh-uh, nuh-uh all you want, dude, but like actually,
Do you think I made Hassan Piker?
no.
But I made Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, but
You know, I
weren't.
platformed Hassan in a way more friendly way when he was a much smaller person than Nick, like way longer, right?
Well, I don't think you were fucking debating Hassan Piker in like 2018 and shit like that constantly.
Wasn't I literally debating Hassan in like 2019 and
I'm
afterwards?
not like a crazy Hassan Piker fan. That's crazy that you obsess about some fucking tall tan guy all fucking
tall
day,
tan
dude.
guy. He's the largest left-leaning political content creator. I also talk about Ben
Yeah,
Shapiro
but
and
you
Jordan
automatically
Peterson.
assume that like I'm this crazy Hassan Piker fan just because
Yeah,
I'm
because you're a
left-wing. Why are
socialist
you
and
like so
Hassan
fucking
Piker is a
obsessed about this
socialist.
guy?
Is it crazy for me to assume that you would be politically aligned with the guy who shares your political ideology? Is that really that insane for me to think?
I mean, I just think it's kind of strange that you automatically go to that I'm like a part of this other guy's group.
If I was talking to a MAGA guy and I assumed that he was a Trump
'Cause he
supporter, would
doesn't
that be
like-
a weird thing for me to assume?
What?
If I was talking to a Trump supporter, or if I was talking to a MAGA person or a conservative and I assumed they were a Trump supporter, would that be a weird thing for me to assume?
Yeah, but I'm not a Hassan supporter.
No, but you're
that's
both
the thing. I don't
socialists.
define myself. Hassan's not like a fucking politician, dude.
Okay,
that I
that's
support
great.
his policies and then put
So,
him in office.
I appreciate that answer now. Why were you so quick to reject the idea then that I made him famous, though? Why did you seem personally offended by that?
Because I don't know enough about Hassan because I'm not a fan of Hassan. I don't like
Then
watch
why
him
even
like
have an
religiously.
answer? Then why does I don't know anything about that. Do you think that if it weren't for me, do you think Nick Fuentes would just not exist?
He wouldn't be as big.
Really? You don't think the Kanye West campaign helped at all? You don't think Candace Owens and all these other people that
I mean, I did,
preferentially-
but that was like after you, though.
Okay, so without me, he would have never been involved in that Kanye stuff. Milo wouldn't have reached out to him
He
to
might have,
draft
but
him.
you definitely played a role and you even bragged about it.
Okay, well, if the 7-second clip said so, then I guess I can't argue with that.
I mean, you just admitted that you have a clip of saying that.
I've probably said that I have platformed him before because I debate a ton of people. Yeah, that's what I do. Do you think that like you should never debate people who have substantial disagreements with you? Should you never debate like a Nick Fuentes type?
Yeah, you can debate them, but you shouldn't fucking brag afterwards that you made them famous.
I don't brag about making him famous.
There's literally a clip of you doing it, though.
Okay, well, if there's a clip of me doing it, then Godspeed, God bless. Do you have any other points you want to bring up?
Not really. I'm low-key bored.
Okay, well,
so
good luck in your...
But I do have something to say. I know it's contradictory to what I said earlier.
Okay.
But long live Hasao Dao Pai Tung.
Great, have fun. Good luck. Hey, what's up, man?
Hi, Destiny. My question is, how can the United States continue to, in good faith, support its NATO commitments when we saw under Operation Prosperity Guardian that not even the European Security Coalition is able to, or has the political will to support their own security interests, let alone the security interests of the United States?
When you say native commitments, do you mean like commitment to defending like the domestic territory of the United States of America, or what do you mean by that?
No,
Sorry.
like our Article 4 and Article 5 commitments.
For NATO stuff, or
yeah, and spending requirements.
And your question is like, what faith do we as Americans have that America will satisfy their NATO commitments, or that the rest of the world will? Sorry, what was your first question again? Can you repeat it again? When you said Native at first, I was thinking Native Americans. I got confused. So sorry, just repeat your thing again. I don't know.
Why should the United States in good faith support our NATO commitments when the European community is not willing to even support their own security?
Gotcha. I mean, I think Europe has largely supported their own security. Like they're raising money for it now.
That's true, but I don't think they're willing to take any substantive action.
Well, I think because right now everybody's kind of waiting for America to wake up from the nightmare we're currently in, where nobody knows what American leadership is going to look like in the rest of the world. I would argue we should fulfill our NATO commitments, because NATO came to our call when we did the Iraqi invasion after 9/11. We triggered an Article 4 thing on that, and we had a whole conglomeration of countries that joined us, and we've had NATO, join us for missions in for Libya, and for the help for Saddam Hussein. Like, you've seen there's like lists of soldiers that have died, as a result of NATO fulfilling their commitments to us. So, I mean, I don't know why. I think there's self-interested reasons to do it. I think it's good to have access to all of these countries, that we have like shared military intelligence between all these countries, that we could deploy to all of these countries. I think it's a huge benefit, even from a self-interested point for the United States. I also think from like a moral perspective, I think the world has been largely more chill with like a NATO entity in existence versus what it was like prior to the existence of NATO, prior to the fall of the Soviet Union.
If the European security community were to take their position seriously, wouldn't you have expected there to be more action under the Biden admin in order to protect shipping in the Red Sea?
If the European community would have been more serious about their security, would there have been more action by the Biden administration to protect for which sea?
The Yemenis, the Houthis. When they were striking shipping, when it was
didn't we literally deploy and attack a few missile strike sites in order to get shipping back to the Suez?
We did. The United States did, but there wasn't any solidarity.
Wasn't there a British aircraft carrier that came with us on one of those as well? I feel like there was. I'm pretty sure there was. I think the Brits deployed, because I didn't even know they had aircraft carriers. I think they might have one. I'm pretty sure they deployed their one, or they deployed some ships with us for that. But I mean, like, America, for the most part, we have the ability to do all this stuff. Like, we invest a ton of money militarily in it. We have the ability to ensure free shipping basically across every waterway in the world. So I mean, it makes sense that they would look to us to take the lead on that. But I mean, we have a lot of advantages as well. Like, we have a lot of intelligence, we have a lot of information about stuff going on around the world. We enjoy like the security of the United States as a result of that. I think it's like a give and take. Like, do you think we'd be more secure if Europe was managing that on their own and the United States was just kind of like doing our thing on this side of the planet?
Well, I think you could make the conclusion that we would be more secure if Europe was willing to put more resources behind real substantive military deployments instead of just their own internal security.
Yeah, but then what do we do when we end up with a conflict of interest with the Europeans? Like, what if the Europeans decided to side with Yemen, or they decided to side with Russia or China in something, and now we're at odds with them when it comes to shipping or trade?
Well, I think we need to operate under the assumption that the Europeans are going to fulfill the liberal framework, and that they're going to respect the rules-based international order.
When the United States hasn't, though, why would they? Like, wasn't Carney's whole speech about the idea that the Americans have basically dissolved that rules-based international order, that we've decided that we're going to make enemies of every country around us, we're threatening allies, we've deposed a leader of a foreign country? Like, why would Europe...
Yeah, pretty much.
So what would be Europe's commitment to that, for the benefit of the United States? Like, if Europe, right now, the nice thing about things like NATO is that it keeps all of our interests aligned. Like, Europe's not going to be looking at a thing they can do that would screw the United States, because generally speaking, what benefits Europe benefits the United States, right? But if we're in totally different security apparatuses, and there comes a time where they have to make a decision related to Russia or China or something in the Middle East, and their incentives are not aligned with ours, they would probably go with theirs, and now we've just made like a massive enemy of a whole new continent for, I would say, for no reason. I don't know why we would.
All right, well, I hope I was able to play somewhat of an effective devil's advocate here, but
Okay. Well, thanks for the conversation.
and do you think that we should really be putting our weight behind someone who I would say is a bad Factorio player?
I don't know who you're talking about because I beat Space Age 100%. So nice try.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Hey, what's up? What's up?
Hey, Destiny. So I was just at the Myron Gaines thing, and I asked him, I wanted to get your opinion on this because he wasn't able to differentiate between a civil infraction and a criminal offense. do you know the difference between the two?
Between a civil infraction?
Yeah, and a criminal offense.
Oh, shit. Well, like, for whatever reason, like, traffic infractions, I don't think rise to the level of, like, misdemeanor or felony
Right.
crimes. My guess is for civil infractions, it probably generally can't result in the deprivation of, like, liberties. So, like, you probably couldn't be jailed ever, I don't think, for, like, a civil infraction.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
No.
they probably only fines. Now, you could probably maybe be held in contempt of court for failing to pay a fine, and eventually maybe that could lead or
Right.
whatever. But, yeah, that would be my guess. Okay.
Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is because over, I would say, 70% of people under ICE detention have no criminal record, and they're being detained. And I think that that's a result of ICE focusing more on quantity than quality. When they have like quotas, they have to meet like 1,200 to 1,500 arrests per day, or they also have to meet, or they crunch down training from 22 weeks to 8 weeks. Do you think that those play a role in how ICE functions, or?
I mean, a little bit, but I think the big issue is the command from the top. Like, I think it comes from the top. Like, there's clearly very little regard given to certain types of people in this country based on, unfortunately, according to the Supreme Court, based on skin color or based on immigration status. I think it's insane that you have the President of the United States will look at U.S. citizens and say, that, like, for Ilhan Omar, like, she should be denaturalized.
Right.
If the President of the United States is saying that a sitting member of Congress should have their citizenship revoked, then it's not surprising at all to me that ICE, our internal enforcement arm for immigration deportation stuff, is just acting with reckless disregard for people's rights. And you mentioned people held without crimes. There are U.S. citizens that are sometimes held and take weeks and weeks to get released, or flown around the country, or sometimes are shipped out of the country entirely who
Or shot.
didn't have orders, or shot and killed. Yeah. Everything with ICE is like, I was a huge hater of the abolish ICE movement 5 years ago. I think internal border enforcement, I think, is important, but like, I'm fully on board with the abolish ICE train now. I just think it's insane. I also didn't understand fully that, like, the difference between, like, they're like, I didn't know the executive branch had its own justice or its own judges to do immigration hearings and everything as well, like Article 2 versus Article, like, that's crazy to me as well. So, it's not surprising at all what ICE is doing, given the leadership's rhetoric and on everything. Yeah, unfortunately.
There's a little background about me. I ran for city council in a small town, in South Carolina. And it's very conservative. Actually, Trump came to speak there when he was running. He campaigned there. And it's a very small town, Pickens. And when I ran twice. I lost both times. But my dad used to be city councilman for 4 years. And, he's Muslim. We're all Muslim. And once the Trump administration gained power, it felt like it emboldened the racism and emboldened the aggression towards Muslim community. So I feel like it's been harder for somebody like me to really voice my concerns about wanting to help my community. I didn't make it about like Islam or nothing. I just tried to really give my perspective on it. And a lot of the rhetoric that I hear now is justification of deporting people, for simply being Muslim or coming from Muslim countries.
I mean, people forget, but like, and I'm not sure how old you are, but like, when Trump ran the
24.
first time, you're 24. Yeah, when Trump ran the first time, he ran on banning all Muslims from coming into the country.
Yeah,
like,
I
that was a
remember that.
real thing that he really tried to run on. He tried to do it kind of again.
But Muslims voted because of Palestine, and I think that's very weird, because he had a lot to do with why Palestine's.
I mean, arguably, yeah, to get it to like the whole Abraham Accords and everything else, yeah. But I agree with you that a lot of kind of bad thought has been kind of emboldened by Trump. I think that's why people were really upset when he won the first time. I think people didn't realize that there was so much of that kind of thought in the United States, and it's why some people, me included, were incredibly upset the second time, where it's like, geez, I'm sympathetic towards Trump 1 voters, but you're voting for Trump on the second go around.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't have anything good to say about that. I wish I did, but other than hopefully a lot of these guys are losing power come the midterms, and hopefully we can get a big reset with the Democrats, and then some kind of accountability for what's happened, going forward after 2028. But yeah, geez.
So how do you think we can better enforce immigration?
This goes back to the very first thing I said again, that we need to have more honest conversations about things. Like, nobody should want illegal immigrants here. Like, we want to be able to track everybody, but like realistically, you're not deporting 12 or 13 million people. And as we saw, as soon as Trump started to get real big and tough on the immigration stuff, there's a whole bunch of industries that were like, well, hold on a second, there's a lot of employment. And all of a sudden he was like, well, the farmer illegal immigrants are okay, but we don't want these other illegal immigrants. And it's like, well, which ones? It's like, if you're talking about the crime committing ones, like, there's been validated over and over again. Like, natives are more likely to commit crime than illegal immigrants. There's just like, if you really want to do something about illegal immigration, in my opinion, there's no conversation that doesn't start with like some kind of path to amnesty for the people that are here. Like, if you're not willing to start at that point, I just don't know what your goal is, other than to endlessly virtue signal on it. Like, I feel like there should be a path to amnesty, and you can penalize them 1 or 2% a year on their income for 10 years or something. If you want to figure out something like that, I don't know. If it makes conservatives feel good to punish people, but like, they're here, they're contributing economically. For the most part, they're not criminals, because if they get caught committing crimes, they run huge risks of deportation. Most of them just come here to work. Like, figure out a way to integrate them legally into your system, and then from there, like, crack down on border enforcement, or figure out a way to deport the people that are left, that are the real bad guys. Nobody wants illegal immigrant rapists and murderers in this country. Like, I think everybody agrees on that. But I think there has to be some kind of path to amnesty, and anything else is just a big virtue signal, in my opinion.
Well, I agree, because my dad, I'm a second generation immigrant. He was an immigrant. He came here, he didn't have documentation, and he was able to become a naturalized citizen. And he started a business. He's contributed a lot to the country. So, I agree with giving mass amnesty to some people and making sure that we don't have violent criminals here in this country. I just fear that this becomes more of like an excuse to expand the power of the executive branch, just so that it becomes like this spread of right-wing ideology that becomes about white and black, rather than making sure we keep violent people out of the country. We've heard people on the right, I forget the names, but they talk about like immigrants coming into this country and taking over the majority population, majority white population. And I just think that kind of rhetoric is very dangerous, especially when some of these people actually hold power in Trump's cabinet, and Trump himself, supports these people. So, I just don't know how we can blur the line, or how we have already blurred the line between deporting people for good reasons versus deporting people for the sake of preserving the majority race or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have people that are having honest conversations about the subject matter, because some people do just, they feel like the racial demographic shift or something. But I mean, like, that argument doesn't even make sense, because like, do you think Swedish people are coming to the United States to vote conservative, or Norwegians, or like, it's not like it's like people don't come from Europe and are like, yeah, I'm a hardcore MAGA guy. Like, that just typically doesn't happen. Wow. So yeah, I don't know. I think and also, like, these people are going. Yeah, that's a stupid argument. If people want to have that argument, then I think we should have that argument. But then it's like, are we going to balance out immigrants based on like their propensity to vote left or right? Like, is that what we're going to do? That seems kind of weird. I don't know, but it can't be. It should also come from Congress too. Like, if this was a legislative debate, that would be healthier for us as well, because then at least we have a framework passed by Congress that future presidents are beholden to, rather than like endless executive orders and actions that can be rescinded, at a whim, or when the next president comes in. So.
Well, when the president can't make new laws, they can only enforce laws that already exist. So,
ideally, we're supposed to do that, yeah.
Because, I mean, like, he had the executive order revoking birthright citizenship, but that got taken down because it violated the 14th Amendment.
Hopefully it will. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's just on a stay right now, yeah. But then even like for stuff like DACA, which I mean, like, I'm in favor of the concept of DACA, but like, this was basically, I think Obama kind of using, I think it's TPS, a temporary protected status that the president has allotted to him. But like DACA, like, Trump has attacked it a few times, and theoretically a future president could change their mind on that. It would just be nice if we had this debate in Congress. And I argued with conservatives about this. Like, there's not going to be any legislation from Trump on immigration. It's not going to happen. We have 3 more years. It's not going to happen. And so, like, do you feel like he's really accomplished his goal? And he had a Republican Congress, and nothing got done with it besides tax cuts being made permanent and whatever the one big beautiful bill was, and the fucking $100 billion for ICE, which is an insane amount of money. So yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're not willing to like sit down and do a legislative argument on it, you're not having a real conversation about immigration. And I think those people should just be made fun of and bullied until they're no longer part of the conversation, because it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, 2 more points. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Sure.
So I know this election that came with Kamala and Trump. I noticed that a lot of the influence came from TikTok. A lot of young voters really were, influenced by it. Young voters especially, especially when Charlie Kirk, was spewing and like talking to people like you are. How much of that do you think influenced the election? TikTok.
It's hard to say because you've got your first order, second order, third order thing. So like you have the talk itself, and for TikTok, a lot of it is aimed at younger people who don't vote that much. So it's hard to know like, well, how much did that affect it? But then you have these like second order things where like it's not just that conversation is happening on TikTok. It's also getting put onto other platforms where now they're having conversations about what's going on TikTok. And then you've also got these even extended effects where now instead of talking about something else, now you're talking about what was being talked about on TikTok. So even if the thing that was being talked about initially on TikTok wasn't creating new voters for conservatives or whatever, maybe you could have been talking about something else that would have energized more liberal voters, maybe. Instead of dealing with the 50 million stupid thing conservatives said on TikTok, instead of being on the defense all the time, you could have put forth a stronger positive argument for your candidate, maybe. I think we have to figure out social media platforms because I think as they exist right now, they don't work very well.
I think the algorithm is very, like, it's people get like better at and just scroll on the algorithm. And then I have friends I went to school with that I never would have thought they would be like Nick Fuentes fans.
Sure.
But like, when I was running for city council, I'd speak to a lot of my friends I went to school with, and I'd try to gain their votes and stuff. And they'd say things like, what do you think about Israel? That would be their question. It was like, I'm a local representative. I have no power of what happens in Israel. But like that to me tells. Oh.
Well.
Oh.
Way to go, Ethan.
Okay. Should I continue or?
Healthcare. Oh.
They were fighting over healthcare.
The peaceful socialists getting arrested for fighting is kind of crazy, I guess, but. I'll give him his fucking.
You forgot the Mao Zedong
stupid
hat.
fucking hat.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry. What were you saying?
No, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Your friends, TikTok, media holes. Not
so
good.
I mean, like, I feel like it's led to a lot of neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic, kind of rhetoric that, although I'm pro-Palestinian, I still don't think we should be, pushing anti-Semitic rhetoric. I think it's dangerous. So, to me, I agree there should be like some sort of, I guess, guardrails or regulations on social media platforms that push, extremist rhetoric that can lead to, I mean, I guess, I don't know, what do you think about that? Because, like, I don't want us to...
We're not even ready to have that conversation, like, as a country, because we have to... America is very obsessed with this concept of, like, free speech means no regulations on anything. And until we're ready to, like, have a conversation about what does it mean to actually have freedom of speech, and is freedom of speech really just, like, social media algorithms driving us into these, like, deeper and deeper holes? Like, is that... Like, we're just not capable of having that convo yet. But I do agree that has to be addressed, but the framework for that is going to have to come from a people with a more sophisticated understanding of, like, how media and culture works, and not just these weird commitments to the ideas that just allow people to, lie with impunity over and over again and radicalize people in the most absurd ways possible. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, last point, because I'm from Syria.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hear your thoughts on al-Jilani and how you think he's doing.
I haven't followed any of the post-Syrian Assad stuff. I mean, I wasn't a.
What do you think about Assad?
I mean, I don't like Assad. I wasn't a fan of Assad.
Okay.
But like I guess my biggest fear for the Middle Eastern region in general, but again, I haven't followed anything closely recently, is that because Donald Trump is so stupid and the current administration doesn't have like a vision for foreign politics really at all, but especially for the Middle East, I feel like Netanyahu is like in the driver's seat for a lot of stuff happening, and I don't necessarily, especially for that government, I don't think that the Israeli government right now would have like the best interest of surrounding citizens in mind as much as like just what works best for Israel, even if it's to the detriment of other citizens. So like I know they really want the Iranian regime gone. I know they're happy to see Assad go, but given the opportunity to support some kind of like puppet person that would be like a worse leader for their citizens, but more friendly towards Israeli security interests, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
I think Netanyahu would always choose that. And I don't think the United States would do anything to intervene because Trump is just whatever. So that would be my biggest fear, like on a very broad level. Now, I can't say with specificity for the current, Syrian leadership or for what... or like if Netanyahu or who Israel would support or how they're doing it. I just haven't read much into it recently, so yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, I have family in Syria. They were persecuted under Assad, and my dad led a protest in the 60s against the Assad family. And I coming here to this country, I noticed like a lot of people who really seem uneducated about the topic, and they automatically assume that like because Assad got toppled, that there's going to be another, terrorist organization taken over. Al-Jilani has like background in ISIS, I believe. I think he dispersed and created the Syrian Liberation Army, and they were able to overthrow Assad. But
it's hard for the, especially for Syria during the civil war. Like if you look at any like that conflict, there's like 100 different groups on both sides, and it's very frustrating from an American perspective because when we talk politics, we're in a very like pristine, clean environment to where we can look at where all of our people come from. But to go to like the Middle East and say, well, this guy had a background in whatever terrorist group, and it's like any of these groups could be opposed to any number of people with any number of interests at any point in time. The Al Qaeda faction that existed in Yemen, didn't necessarily have the same leadership or interests as when Al Qaeda existed a long time ago in Afghanistan. It's like a lot of it is really complicated, especially the Syrian war and especially the interests. And it's like every time there'd be like a new headline like Russia flies down to Syria, and it's like, is it to bomb Assad or is it to bomb the FSA? Is it to bomb ISIS? And it's like, why are they bombing who? And it's like, if they're bombing ISIS, does that mean they're killing terrorists or they're killing bad guys, or is it just because they're supporting Assad or they're killing good guys? And then at some point, Turkey goes and kills more Kurdish people and says whatever. And it's just like that's just like the whole like I hate it. Yeah, anytime somebody does that thing like, well, they were part of XYZ group, so they're bad. And it's like, well, we probably need a deeper analysis on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very
Thanks for
good
the conversation. I appreciate it. How's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Cool. I just want to keep this brief. I heard you're pretty pro-abortion, pro-choice.
Yes, I am, yeah.
Could I ask what your argument behind that is?
I think that when we talk about like protecting like humans, I think that we're talking about protecting like the experience, the subjective experience we have as humans. I think as a single cell, I don't think a single cell can have that experience. I don't think a bundle of cells can have that experience. I feel like the necessary parts of your brain to have that experience emerge. I think it's I don't remember the number. What is it, like 14 to 16 weeks or something?
Something like that, probably.
It's something in that range, and I think probably up until that range, I think abortion should be protected, right?
Yeah. So if a child is born prematurely, right, and they're so dependent on a bunch of different machines, ventilator, feeding systems, etc., they're still considered a human being, correct?
Yeah.
And the age at which, or the date at which that child can be born prematurely and still survive is getting pushed back and back as medical technology gets better and better, correct?
Sure.
So if we get to a point where an embryo can be taken out, a single cell, and can survive on its own and develop without the need of a mother, would that single cell be considered a human being?
No.
Why?
All right, or I mean, maybe you consider it a human thing, but it doesn't have the subjective experience we're trying to protect. Like, if I have a single-cell creature and I crush it in a jar, and I'm asking, like, who's harmed, I don't think there's, like, a who to speak of there. Like, there's a cell that was destroyed, but there's no functioning there that's, like, there was, like, a person to speak of that was harmed.
So is it based on, like, a memory thing? Because we don't start forming permanent memories till we're, like, I forget the age, but it's long past we're born.
No, I think it's a subjective experience where we can experience like pain and suffering, and we can be harmed, and we generally try to avoid harming people. But there's no there's no conscious subjective experience to speak of until around 14, 16 weeks or whatever.
So your argument isn't based on personhood; it's based on like the subjective experience.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing we look at when we look to when people are dead, right? Like when the brain stops functioning, you can no longer deploy that conscious experience. We're like, oh, okay, well we can do like the body doesn't have that level of moral consideration anymore.
Oh, definitely. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, what's up?
What's going on?
Nothing much.
So I was going to talk to you about the prosecution of future MAGA, or the current MAGA politicians, assuming that there is a blue wave in the future.
Okay.
Is your goal retribution or the preservation of the rule of law?
I like kind of both. I think that they kind of play into one another. I think that there has to be like a healthy fear of like being like lawless in the future, and that if there's no accountability or some kind of punishment or something for the current rule breakers, then I think that they would just do it again in the future. So yeah.
Do you think our Constitution is currently in a state where it can properly prosecute these people, or?
I think we could find ways to do it if we got creative. I think you could find ways to do it. Yeah.
But like with our current Constitution, or to reform the Constitution to?
No, I think with our current laws and everything in place, I think we could find ways to do it.
What I know, there's like the 14th Amendment and all that, but everything I can really think of, the pardon power that the president has. The president can step down, and the VP can pardon the previous president. That's precedent with Nixon. Everything that I can think of is just blocked by that vast power. If we are unable to properly prosecute these people because our Constitution is set up in a certain way, are you okay with, under the idea of the rule of law, that these people are going to go away without being prosecuted, or any sort of like retribution or anything like that?
Did you ever see the Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
Yes, I have.
Is it Keira Knightley? Is that the girl?
I have no.
When she's talking to Barbosa, that character, she asks something about like the pirates' rules or whatever, and he said they're more like guidelines.
They're more like guidelines.
If we've learned anything about rule of law and constitution, apparently they're guidelines. I'm sure I haven't sat down and I had an idea before, but I don't remember what it was. But if we sat down and got really clever or creative, I'm sure we could figure something out. Maybe Trump pardons a bunch of people, and maybe we figure out a way to post-date like an impeachment, and we say, oh, actually, you're impeached from the first day you were in office, and then we go ahead and we say that every action that was pardoned is no longer pardoned. We could figure something out to do it if we really wanted to. Maybe it would be.
Isn't that the exact same strategy that Trump is trying to go against his political enemies, and what we are trying to decry, because that's like in violation of like the Constitution and all that?
I think we're against what they're doing is because they're violating the faith of the Constitution, right? Like. I don't think holding them accountable for doing that.
Do you think that you'd be violating the faith of the Constitution by doing that? I mean,
by trying to preserve future rule of law? I don't think so. I think that overall, I think it would be good for future preservation of rule of law to find a way, even if you have to get legally creative, to hold these people accountable 100%.
How do you define the rule of law exactly? Yeah.
Well, it depends. I mean, what do we want to look at? I don't think that it was ever intended by the framers for the President of the United States to be able to do economic policy on his own. I don't think that the NEA, the National Emergency Act, I don't think shouldn't have ever given Trump the ability to do unilateral tariffs with no oversight from Congress indefinitely over and over and over again for personal reasons, for bullshit emergencies that he's declared. Yeah. Now, these are things that he's declared, and then the Republican Congress has kind of abdicated the responsibility for oversight. But these are things that I think are fundamentally against the spirit of the rule of law in the United States.
I can agree with you that it's against the spirit, and it's definitely not what the framers intended, and the fact that our Congress is unable to do anything about it is like a travesty. But I would make an argument saying one of the reasons why it's such a travesty we can't do anything about it is just because our Constitution really set up to punish the president for doing these sort of things. What do you indict the president on for trying to set unilateral economic policy, or what do you indict the president on when he's doing a military operation in Venezuela without an authorization of military force?
I mean, indict him for murder, indict him for bribery, indict him for. I mean, there's a number of things.
Then that just all goes down to the pardon again. I feel like if we want to prevent this in the future, we need to reform the Constitution, but I don't know if our current system is.
I don't think we need to reform they didn't need to reform the Constitution to do what they're doing now, right? You agree with that, right?
Yes, but if we're playing by the rules and they don't, if we want to keep the rules around, the Constitution around, then we got to play by the rules, right?
Yeah, but we need. I just think we need to make them realize that if you break the rules, there are going to be some kind of consequences, even if we have to get creative to figure them out. But I don't think continuing to patch the rule book over and over again with the understanding that they'll just find ways to break it in the future, I don't know. There just doesn't seem to be a tenable position, because I don't think they'll care much about it. Whatever rules we put in place, they'll break them in the future.
The argument was that you would patch the rule book so that you can punish them in the future within the rule book.
But then they'll just break those rules again, right?
You've made the analogy before of Monopoly, right? So you say two people play Monopoly. If someone stabs someone, then it doesn't matter what rules you make a Monopoly, they're still going to stab you. But what happens if you play Monopoly, but next time you bring a gun with you, and if they try to stab you, you shoot them. But you make it as part of the Monopoly rules that you're able to keep a gun with you. There's
doesn't
rules
matter.
that you can create in order to legally be able to punish these people. You don't need to bend the rules now. And
I guess you could, but then what if you can't make those rules?
then that's just how it is. I mean, that's how
But
our
then,
Constitution
our
is. If
country
you're
is
unable
lost.
to, like, well, that.
Like, do you agree that if this administration isn't held accountable, America's, I don't know if we survive the next go-around of this.
Well, that's why we have to push like hell in order to legally get these things instituted.
I'm not going to waste the time or political capital to try to codify a whole new set of rules. Like, I'd rather like we do things about like affordability and healthcare and immigration, like the stuff that matters, and appoint a special prosecutor and figure out ways. Maybe it's just investigating all their bank accounts a million times, or figure out who they took money from and charge them with bribery or whatever else. Like, I think that's more effective than trying to do a whole bunch of patchwork on the Constitution, than to go back and then after doing that patchwork to try to hold them legally accountable, and then hoping that you win those. Like, it's just that's so much.
I don't think you can patchwork the Constitution and then retroactively punish people. I think you of all people would know that you can't just like institute a law and then go backwards and punish people. So,
fuck them with the current laws you have as creatively as you can. They're creative. They've been very creative with their interpretation of everything now, and then move forward in the future and hope they won't do it again, knowing that the other people on the other side
when you
will
reform the thing so that it'll be easier, you don't have to be creative with the laws in the future. You can just do it in a more
but like,
normal
what behavior would you
process in
even
the future.
criminalize now officially in some kind of law?
You could probably lower the vote required to impeach a president. Probably that would probably hold people more accountable.
Maybe that would require an amendment.
Well, anything that would involve holding the president more accountable in the future is going to require an amendment, right? I mean, it's not like we're going to be able to pass a law saying, "Oh, we can now impeach the president" without that being an amendment.
Well, I mean, they endlessly investigated Hunter Biden to get back at Joe Biden. Like, they did this for years and years and years. They didn't
yes, but that's not them investigating Joe Biden. Wasn't a part of a constitutional change.
No, but I'm saying they found a way to attack Biden endlessly through his son without having to need a new law or new clever.
Yeah, but we can agree that that's a bad thing. If we don't change the system in the future, then that's just going to keep happening because that door.
Yeah, but I don't think they did that because the system allows them to. They did that because the system allows them to, and they know there'd be no pushback for it. Like, they had the opportunity to get rid of the filibuster, and they said no when Trump was begging them to do this a few months ago, because they know that once the Senate or the House flips, that they're completely fucked, and they don't want to see an endless deluge of Democratic legislation coming through that they're not going to be able to filibuster anymore.
Well,
so
I don't necessarily disagree with that because I'm a never Trump Republican. So.
Sure, yeah. so I mean, they do stop when they see there's going to be accountability. Yeah, I'm sympathetic to your position. I don't as much as I meme about it, I don't really want to see like a total abdication of like rule of law. But something that I think shackles your mind and shackled my mind and shackles a lot of people's minds is this idea that like the other side is still playing in somewhat good faith, and they're really not. Like, the Trump administration, for a million reasons, has done so many absurdly anti-legal, against the law, just things that are absurd beyond notion. And the idea that we're trying to figure out how to navigate in some type of like rules-based way to hold people accountable so that it doesn't, it's just like we're so far over that I would be okay with a very aggressive special prosecutor, like, take Jack Smith, shoot him up with fucking meth or something, and then just have this guy go crazy on indictments. Give him an AI and just go wild on these people. And whether that's investigating everybody for every trade they ever made or bribery attempt they ever made or whatever, just so that they know in the future, they're like, I want to do some crazy fuck shit, but I know if I do this, Democrats are going to get me for it. That needs to be in their head, because Democrats have that for every fucking thing we do. I don't want to pack the court. Republicans will do it. Bro, if Republicans thought packing the court would help them, they would do it immediately. They're not waiting for you. McConnell didn't wait for a Supreme Court justice to get blocked before he blocked one. Like, Republicans don't wait for anything. They do it when they think they need to. So Democrats need to unshackle their mind, and they need to look past the current possibilities to a new horizon. And then Republicans, I think they would have to do that one time, and I think Republicans go, okay, no more fuck shit from our side. We're not going to do that anymore because we know we're going to get punished on it. Like, they lost this gerrymandering war really badly. And, Indiana turned around on their gerrymander attempts. And I think that Republicans are heavily going to reconsider those types of things in the future because they got screwed so hard on that deal. And there seems to be some of that. Whatever legally creative way you could do it, I think is good, but I just don't want to waste time. Like, the punishment needs to be there for conservatives when we get into office so that they don't do it again, but I don't want to waste 4 more years on it, and then it's like, fuck, like, why do we spend?
Well, I don't know. I just feel very uncomfortable with holding our politicians accountable is just going to be whoever can come up with the most creative attempt at, punishing them, instead of operating within like a constitutional
But that's
system.
what Trump did this term.
Well, yes,
we got this guy.
We try to fix
every
that
person
for the
he hates.
future.
Apparently, every person he hates has committed mortgage fraud.
We can agree on the
but there's no way to
symptom.
fix that. How do you fix? Should the president not be I don't think he should ever do this, but should the president be allowed to publicly tweet out who he wants indicted? I don't think he should. But could you make a law against that? Probably not. But they should know that if you do this shit, You're gonna get fucked for it.
If you think that we can, like, get our best minds together in order to come up with the most creative prosecution, then surely we can get our best minds together and be able to come up with some sort of amendment or some sort of like new government process that'll hold the president of the United States
I don't think
more
so.
accountable.
I think you
like,
need- you have to have-
like, I don't know, just having it codified within the law just feels more right to me.
I know it does, but I don't. Have you ever seen The West Wing?
The West Wing, as in like the show?
Yeah.
No, I've
What's in what? The West Wing of the White House?
I don't.
Yeah, the
I
TV
thought
show.
that they tore that
motherfucker.
down.
No, yeah, I haven't seen The West Wing, but I feel like I saw like a scene or whatever where. I don't know if this is West Wing or some other show, but is it like some guy is talking to some other dude and they brought in a bunch of these smarty Soviet dudes actually, no, wait. I think this was Scalia, I think, was giving his talk or something, where they brought in a bunch of foreign people and they were going over like the U.S. Constitution and they were like, oh, there's like 100 different holes where there are different ways you could abuse the system or mess with U.S. law or whatever else. And that's just going to be true of every system of law, of every constitution, of every, huge section of legal stuff and federal rules. The reality is that like you need strong institutions and you need people that have a commitment to the rule of law to make sure that it works. There's never going to be a document that can cover for everything because there are so many different balancing tests that are codified in law, right? There are so many different like subjective things. So like for instance, when we invoke the Alien Enemies Act, it requires some type of like foreign invasion or us to be at war with the country. And Donald Trump was like, well, technically Venezuela is invading us because Tren de Aragua is part of the Venezuelan government and Tren de Aragua has operators in our country. So we think
fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So it's like, so what law do you make? Like, well, now do we have to define what every WMD can be, or do we have to, and it's like you can't really, there's no way you could stay ahead of that. You have to have people that are operating with some level of good faith in the system, and we need to find a way to bring that back. And I think accountability is the way to do it, unfortunately. But I don't think that making endless rules, like if anything, I feel like it almost further emboldens bad behavior. There's so many Republicans that I hear will talk about like January 6th, and they're like, well, if January 6th was illegal, why did they add those, few lines to the ECA? And it's like, motherfucker, it was illegal before they added those lines. But now that they added the lines, like, well, they were perfectly in the right before. And it's like, it wouldn't stop Trump in the future if he wanted to find another way to rig the election. So yeah, I'm so sympathetic. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I'm very sympathetic to your arguments. I just don't know if it's like a pathway that has that bears fruit at the end of it, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I got one more thing I want to ask.
Yeah, go for it.
What is it with liberal content creators? It feels like no one's doing what you're doing, where they go out in the real world and they do like canvassing and
yeah, because
that.
nobody.
Like,
I think. Well,
like,
for the
is it because they're too focused on like the media aspect of it and like building their audience, or like what?
Republicans are very good at vertically integrating everything they do. So like the fact that like I think even Joe Rogan said, or was it Joe Rogan or somebody else was like, I just talked to Trump a few days ago or whatever. I think I was listening to talk to somebody who mentioned this, and I'm like, why is Trump talking to Joe Rogan? Like the president and then the cabinet and then the whole executive is working with all like the podcasters and the right-wing media influencers who are all like disseminating their message across social media to all of your social media guys. Then the Republican people like carry this message forward. Like if I go talk to a frontline Trump voter, he's going to be able to tell me the same things that everybody else in their media apparatus is saying. And then meanwhile, if I look at the left-wing media, like there's like three different factions of like people on the left. And you've got the far left people, so the socialists and the tankies, who are unfortunately a very commanding presence online, who hate the Democratic Party and will never fucking vote for Democrats ever, despite how they lie to you about it. Then you have like your center-left liberal people who are just largely silent, okay, because they're watching in horror with the tanky people. And then they're also watching the third faction is like the kind of like the left-wing media. And for left-wing media, ignoring all the tanky people, you have all these people that are so traumatized with being called like Trump derangement syndrome havers that they're constantly trying to criticize their own side to show how fair and balanced they are. And they're like, well, I think that it's good that Biden was super senile and he left, and that's good. And we need to talk more about like what the Democrats are doing wrong and all this stuff. And then meanwhile, you go to like Fox News and they're like, yeah, Hugo Chavez like was commanding Dominion voting machines from the grave to change the election for us, and the Italians were also flipping votes using bit switching from electron beam shooting satellites, and Giuliani
Dominion
and Donald
is their
Trump
safe
believe.
word.
Yeah, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like it's just not the same. So I think that it's just hard for on the left to get out and do anything, because you know that as soon as you go out, not only are you fighting against a whole conservative apparatus that has no relationship with truth whatsoever, you're also going to be fucking getting attacked from everybody in the left for it. The center left is going to attack you for being too moderate or not moderate enough, and then the far left are going to attack you for being liberal, and it's just like, fuck. So yeah, I think that's probably why people are a little bit scared to dip their toes in and do anything.
Would you send a message out to them to be more politically active?
I think it's coming together more, and it's starting to happen. Newsom has taken some leadership on it. I hope that there's more like support for politicians and movement on the ground. But yeah, obviously, I always welcome people to join me or to start their own thing, even, or whatever. I think is always like a really positive thing. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else specifically.
Cool.
Anything you want to ask me?
No, I feel bad for you if you're a never Trump Republican. That's a
Oh
rough.
no, it's very, very lonely
It's a lonely,
right now.
rough
I'm
world to be
trying
in.
to establish my own real Republican organization.
Yeah, I think you guys should be excited for 2020, like 6 and 7. I think that once the MAGA stuff falls apart, there's going to be a big vacuum that people are trying to fill in the Republican Party. It's not going to be Vance. He can't. These people
Well,
have
no,
no
that's
charisma.
not what I mean. So this is something that I've been mulling over my head for a very long time of how can we get the Republican Party back to a principled conservative position instead of this populist bullshit. It's either we're gonna have to get a conservative, like why did Republicans, why were they willing to abandon their principles in order to support Trump? Well, it's because Trump was able to win elections, basically. Trump was able to prove that he could win, so that means his ideas must be right, meaning that we should abandon everything that we used to believe in. Okay, so I feel like that, Trumpism, the MAGA ideology, will be attempted at least one more election after Trump. And I'm kind of concerned if it is attempted again, and if that politician somehow wins, God forbid, that's going to just reinforce it in the Republican Party. But if there ever is a sort of normal conservative, never Trumper, Don Bacon, hopefully, please run. If someone like that is able to win the Republican primary, but they lose against a Democrat, then that's just going to, it's like negative reinforcement. It's just going to revert people back towards populism. And that's what I'm really sort of concerned of. So I feel like if there is going to be a blue wave, I kind of want the most populist, fascist person in the Republican Party to run. That way they can get absolutely fucking destroyed and they get purged and proven that they can't win elections at all.
Yeah,
So,
I guess we'll see. I don't know. I feel like the Trump cult stuff is kind of hard because I'm pretty sure that him losing didn't seem to slow his momentum in 2020. So maybe once he gets old and dies, like I said, I don't think it'll be Vance. We'll see what happens. But hey, I encourage never Trumpers to fight for a better conservative movement. So yeah.
all right. Say hi to Connor for me.
Yeah. Have a good one. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Steven, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Wish Owen Troyer was here so I could get a follow-up on my why no new wars question. But
Wait, you wish who was here?
Owen Troyer.
Oh, sure. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I had the follow-up for the what do you mean no new wars? But
yeah, Jesus. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the current in civil discourse. It seems that everyone's vibe-based now instead of fact-based opinion, evidence-based opinion. It's all vibe-based, increasingly so since 2016 in Trump's first arc when Ben Shapiro hit the mainstream and he was like, my facts don't care about your feelings, but now it's your facts won't get in the way of my feelings. It's kind of are you familiar with Plato's allegory of the cave?
Yes.
Where it's there's these objects brought in front of the fire and they cast a shadow on the wall and then the guy gets free, sees the world for how it is, tries to come back and teach them that this is an illusion, and then they beat him to death with rocks.
Yeah.
That kind of feels like it is now with the cognitive dissonance between perception and reality. And what do you think that we should do to try to correct that course?
I mean, populism always takes this kind of predictable course of populist leaders become popular because there's some resentment in the population, but then once they get elected, they can never really deliver on any of their promises, and then people kind of swing back to okay, I guess we have to try boring politics again. So I think the most important thing is when the Democrats come back into power, they have to find ways to deliver that are immediately visible to Americans, because there are too many things that are hidden from so many people. The ACA had a tremendous success in getting health care coverage out to a lot of uninsured people. A lot of people don't know that. I think it was 15 million more people or something, 10 or 15 million more people, Americans, were insured after the ACA expansion, but nobody saw that. They just saw their health care premiums go up. And health care premiums did go up, but they didn't go up as fast as they would have otherwise. But that's a hard thing for people to say, right? If something cost me $300 one year and then the next year it's $350, all I see is the price going up. And if you tell me, well, it would have been $400, I guess maybe, but it's still $350. I feel like I'm not perceiving that difference. So Democrats have to find a way to do some project or something where they're kind of building something that is immediately visible. As much as I hate Trump and I hate everything he does and everything he stands for, and I just fucking hate everything. The Trump savings account, I actually think that's a good kind of idea, because I can put money in an account for my kid and I can see the number and I can hopefully watch the number go up. And that's a thing that you just see. and it's visible and it's there. It might be something as stupid as building a fucking statue, or it may be building functioning like train lines somewhere. But like, I think that Americans like things that they can see when they see a thing and they're like, oh, that's a new thing that we have, or that's like a thing I can put my fingers on, or at least click with my mouse. I think people like things like that. So whatever Democrats are doing going forward policy-wise, it has to be something that's a little bit more visible, so that when their policy wins, Americans can see it better. And I think that kind of helps to counter some of the populist rhetoric. But I think we'll see a receding of a lot of the populist rhetoric just because Trump has failed so spectacularly to deliver on anything that he promised. I don't know if people are going to buy into it 100% going forward, at least for one election cycle or two, yeah.
You don't think that's like kind of something they've tried already, where like Joe Biden did like Juneteenth, or any kind of the public statements they've done, where like a new holiday or new celebration, or electing a Supreme Court justice that's like a woman and a black
Most
woman?
Americans don't care about the Supreme Court, and I don't
Yeah,
like
they don't.
Juneteenth. No offense, like I mean, like I just these are not like the things that I think that hype up a lot of Americans when like like a federal holiday or whatever. Like I think. It has to be more visible than that, and more broad, I think, for people to really get behind it or to feel like it's like something is happening. It's just, we have to find a way to make those processes more visible because people just don't see it all the time. Like if I talk about like the Inflation Reduction Act or whatever, like huge investments in green energy, like I don't know what that looks like or what that means. I don't have like, maybe I don't even live in an area that has a lot of access to solar power, or I don't see how it affects me at all. One thing that I thought was really cute, I think it was Stothert. I think Mayor in Omaha, a long time ago, implemented like a new tax downtown. I think they were trying to capture revenue from the College World Series or something. And what happened was they had like a new tax that they put on restaurants downtown, and restaurant owners were obviously very annoyed by this because it meant their prices were higher, and they had like a separate line item on the receipts that said like the mayor's tax, and then they put that on there. And this is a negative thing, but like it impacted the way that voters felt about it a lot. And I know some people tried to do this, and I think Trump went and dick sucked them so they'd stop. I think Amazon was starting to add like Trump tariffs, I think, on a thing, but they got that shut down in like a day or something. But just being able to point to stuff like that, maybe you save some money in your energy bill and they find a way to like make that immediately visible, I think is a good thing to figure out how to do.
Yeah, I think it's, we have it in my town, South Carolina, like a hospitality tax. It's just like a 1% tax that the town uses is 1% on like all like restaurants eating out, like all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And it goes into like a fund that can be used for like specific things like schools and like infrastructure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. I think I was a big fan of the IRA bill and infrastructure bill that Biden passed, but a lot of them are like 10-year initiatives that are very hard to track.
Yeah, and some of these
in-
things
yeah.
are like Trump is literally putting on the sign like paid for, or like by the Trump administration, like, and then it's like paid for by the infrastructure bill or whatever. And it's like that's not your bill, so they try to find ways to take credit for it.
I don't
because it's
think a
like,
single Republican voted for it,
Yeah.
but they are taking credit for it when it comes to their district.
a
like
lot
the
of
money.
the time, yeah, or very few Republicans vote for it. Yeah, it's very frustrating. Yeah.
But like the underlying effect, like I feel like there's a lot of patchwork things. But do you think like the biggest thing to help would be like bring back like civics and media literacy into schools? Like I think that we're at a point in time where we should probably just have a mass media course that teaches media literacy.
I agree with that, but the fight over what that course will look like, and also the federal government doesn't dictate curriculum, despite people thinking it does. That would be very hard to get everybody to stand on board with. But I would be in favor of some type of like, you have like math, history, whatever. You also have like a media literacy class. I think that should be required because it's navigating the information environment. It's so abstracted now from like the actual core issues. Like you're seeing like a take on TikTok or whatever else. Like people don't have the tools right now, I think, to evaluate all this stuff. And having those would probably substantially improve every area of our lives because it would improve how voters engage with the democratic system. So I would be in favor of that. I just don't know how you would enforce it or get everybody on board with it. Maybe state by state, but I think it would be important, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It would be difficult to get all states on board. I don't know how that would look like to encourage them. Probably some kind of like financial incentive, like create a new title that creates funding for schools that if you opt in, you could get access to that money, possibly.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
All right. And last thing, Protoss over Zerg.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
Hey, Destiny.
Hi, what's up?
My name's Caden. I have a question from my friend Khan. He's a big fan of yours. He just wasn't able to be here today.
Okay.
His question is, how can we have a conversation with conservatives when there is a wholesale denial of reality and top-down prevention of accountability from their side? Is there even a point trying to talk with them anymore?
I mean, I think there's always a point trying to talk. I think there's a reason why they avoid the conversations. So I think trying to talk is always good. You just have to keep forcing the conversation. You have to keep like demonstrating that they don't have answers. sometimes when I'm thinking like what would be effective, I kind of look at like what the other side is doing, and if I see that there's a thing that they lean into a lot, and if I see a thing that's avoiding a lot, it communicates to me what they think is effective and what they think isn't effective. So conservatives, like politicians and media figures, are deathly afraid of critical conversations. So that communicates to me that they know that they'll look bad in these conversations, so they'll avoid them, which means I think we should be pushing harder to have them, especially when this is the side of like facts over feelings and, you know, they want to have challenging conversations, everything else. I think it's good to have people verbally pushing them on that over and over and over again, so that even if you don't have the conversations, you can at least make people aware that they're too afraid to have them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. How much longer are we on for? Person behind me on the laptop, whoever you are. Okay, or just ignore me, that's fine. Okay, hi.
Hi, how
Again,
you
what's
doing?
up?
Sorry, I have a lot to ask and talk about. This is probably going to be my last time, though.
Sure.
I know that you said that you would be in favor of Supreme Court reform as well as abolishing the filibuster. And I believe you've said before that we should expand the number of House seats. If I'm getting that wrong, please correct me. So I do agree that the House being capped at 435 is just so stupid now. It most likely should be expanded, but my fear is that usually the House of Representatives is kind of where we find the craziest of the crazy, like your Marjorie Taylor Greenes. She's the only one I can really think of right now. But how do you think that we could combat that while also expanding it? Just because, especially when you get more, like granular in politics, it tends to be way more out there. So like these House districts tend to be way more.
I mean, I think, I mean, if that's what Americans feel, they should be represented in Congress, as crazy as it is. It's kind of like not being happy with, I guess, like your blood pressure and saying, well, we should just stop measuring it. Like, I mean, that's not the solution. The solution is to fix that issue. The House should be increased in size so that we have better representation and more proportionality, because right now, even the House, I think per population still slightly favors conservatives.
Yes.
Obviously not as much as the Senate, but so yeah, I think it should be expanded for that reason. And yeah, I mean, there are Marjorie Taylor Greene politicians, there are Marjorie Taylor Greene U.S. citizens, like, and if they believe whatever they believe, like, they deserve their representation in Congress like anybody else. And if we're trying to fight against those beliefs, then the fight for that should be had on the media landscape or the cultural landscape, not necessarily trying to find a way to disenfranchise them on the political, institutional landscape. Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on expanding or making the Senate based on population? Do you think that that's a worthwhile move?
People hate me, but like, I mean, I understand the idea behind our bicameral legislature, and I like the idea of, like, I think states have their own incentives sometimes, and the states can have their own interests, and I think it's fair to have the states represented in the Senate. I'm okay with that. I know that a lot of people aren't, but I think I'm okay with that.
Like population based, or
just the state. The state
Okay.
itself has 2 votes in the Senate per state, and that they have that thing. I think that's okay.
Okay, all right, but I mean, I tend to, I guess.
I think one quick thing. I think the getting rid of the filibuster, I think, maybe alleviates some of the complaints that people that don't like the way the Senate works, I think maybe helps with, and maybe that's a strong argument for. One of the strong arguments for abolishing the filibuster, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth. Unfortunately, it really sucks. I just, at least on abolishing the filibuster.
I think the best solution actually is I don't think the filibuster should be abolished at all. I think the filibuster needs to have somebody speaking all the time. I think it works because then it would be harder to filibuster because you need somebody up there speaking. We would get younger people. Because you can't have a 92-year-old dude who's not going to be able to speak that long. He's going to fall over and die. You might have more athletic people because maybe the guy filibustering, passes out. And you got to get people to run to Congress and go and vote real fast. So you get, like, I just think I think it'd be a better system. So maybe for the filibuster, you need to actually stand up there and talk the whole time. And then that would be a better way to enforce it. But no, otherwise, I think, getting rid of the filibuster in some form maybe makes that Senate a little bit less harsh, considering how much it favors, a certain political party, yeah.
We also need Puerto Rico to become a state, like yesterday.
Yeah, Puerto Rico, D.C., like these places not being states, I think is very strange. I don't know how that fits in, but that's very weird. Yeah, I agree. I think they should be, but obviously conservatives never go for it. But I mean, they should be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Andrew, who's back there? What? Is this guy not? Is this guy? Oh. Are we good? How much longer do you want to go for? Oh, how much want you want to go for? We good or?
240.
Uh-huh.
What do you want to do?
We can go till 3 if you want. Wait, can I take a bathroom break? Is that okay?
You absolutely can.
You were looking at me like I'm not allowed to. Jesus. No, I've been home.
Ask for some donations.
Donations. Wait. Okay. You want to chat for a sec? And I'll use the restroom and I'll run back. You can come back too if you want, because I know Andrew's no destiny, so. Okay. Be right back.
Well, how's it going, everybody? 20 minutes left, and he's going to run away. That's crazy. It's crazy work. Yeah. We were at like 5,800 or something on the donation goal out of 7,500. 20 minutes left until we got to pack it up. So push the numbers, chat. Push it up.
We're at like 5,800. Our goal for today is 7,500. So all you streaming this, do your part.
Push it up, chat. You can do this. There was like $1,000 donation at one point. There's a whale in the chat. Okay, come back, whoever you are. There's one of Connor's whales slipped into GGG for a second, I guess. Does anybody want to come? I'm no Steven. That is true. He's right about that. But he's going to take we got 20 minutes left. He's going to take a 30-minute bathroom break. So we've got to make something work here. Don't really have a choice. Got to figure it out. No? Okay, I guess we're just going to talk to chat for a little bit till he comes back. I guess that's what we're going to do. I'm trying to see. Myron's event's still going on over there. We can't leave before them. I feel like we can't. I feel like that's not a thing that we can let happen. I think we got to tell Steven to suck it up and keep sitting here. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Where's non-fawn? Non-fawn or North? I know one of you two is around here. Come up and ask some bullshit question. I don't see you, but I know one of you is around. They're probably behind me somewhere. No, they're not. They left. They probably went to follow Steven in the bathroom. That'd be my guess. What? Chat wants me to sing? Okay, kick rocks, chat. Come on. Kick rocks. Okay. I guess we're just sitting here. I'm just gonna make it as awkward as humanly possible, I guess, till he gets back. I don't know why he handed me the mic. It's a horrible idea. Terrible. Not good. What's the deal, Amy? I don't know. The real question is, are the donations coming in? Amy's telling me you guys aren't donating. Come on. What's up with that? Get it together. All right. I guess you did. All right. I'll shut up. I'm sorry. Did you guys enjoy seeing the... Did you have a good time seeing the commie guy get taken away by cops? That was fun. I liked that. That is... That is exactly... Oh, Amy posted... she got some footage of it on her phone. She just posted it on Instagram. So if you want to see more of... I saw chat popping off when it happened. Okay, you guys seem to enjoy that, which is understandable. You should enjoy it. Watching the smug commie get dragged off by cops was a good time. But Amy Zelmer on Instagram, she just posted more footage that she took of that from her phone. The cameras didn't get all of it. Okay, she said it's on the UFA account. Okay, go to the Unfuck America account and you can see the rest of that or whatever she got footage-wise. If you want. I know you guys probably love that. It's going on the Reddit. Unhinged Hassan fan assaults innocent lib at political event. There you go. There's your there's the thread. Enjoy. I guess Bunny 3A, I'm supposed to say thank you. So thank you. Whatever you did was so incredible that Amy specifically told me to say thank you to you. So, you must be an incredible individual. How long does it take a guy to go to the bathroom, you think? It's not that far away. I can see the bathroom door from here. What's the goal at? What's the dono goal at, Amy? 59.63. Okay, come on, guys. Seriously. You got to push it to 75. We got to get there. Next time, we're going to take Steven to what's the reddest school in the country? That's the next place we need to go. Oh my God, Liberty. Why haven't we done that yet? Is there a reason we haven't done Liberty yet? We have to. They probably won't let us. It's a private school. Yeah, there's no shot that's getting approved. Yep. Okay, okay, I'll reframe my question. Thank you. What is the most conservative public school in the country? I should have preempted the pedantic Liberty University call out. Yes, private schools don't count. Okay, there's no shot, no universe in which Liberty University approves our event. What's chat saying? What is the give me right? What is the most read public school in the United States? What does chat think? Whatever it is, that's the one. That's where we got to go next. We have to. We've done a couple of purpley bluish schools, and you'd be shocked to find out that at in like purplish blue areas at colleges, there's not a lot of conservative MAGA crazy people. You'd be shocked to find that out. Turns out we really do have a literal monopoly on colleges, apparently. Amy. Where we at? Okay. 64, that's respectable. Okay, you guys you're doing it. You're making it happen. By the time he gets back, the cameras are going to be packed up and we're all going to be gone. Apparently, so. In the meantime, you guys are doing a great job. 64. I didn't expect her to say that. 1,100 more. We reached our goal. Z told me that if we don't reach this goal, she's dissolving the tour and we're never doing another event ever again. That's what she said. She said it word for word. That's a quote. We're done with this. This mother... Okay, I'm not going to call him out. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to direct hate where unnecessarily. But you wouldn't believe what this guy was doing right now instead of being in front of this camera and entertaining you guys. You wouldn't believe it. You would not believe the balls on this guy to leave me sitting here trying to entertain nothing and nobody, and he's over here doing. I'm not even gonna. Fucking ridiculous. Jesus. 65. Look at that. We raised almost $1,000 while you were gone. Isn't that crazy? I know. I am better. In some regards.
Yeah, like probably like one guy left worth of time. One guy? Any final questions? We have time for probably one more, maybe two more. What's up? How's it going?
How's it going, Destiny? I'm a pretty big fan, not gonna lie, so this might be boring, but I was wondering, like, so after Trump, like 2028 and all this, what are your predictions of what the Republican Party looks like after Trump?
I don't even know what 2028 is going to look like.
Yeah,
my guess is
I'm
going
the
to be
same
that
way.
there's going to be a lot of people who are going to pretend they never supported him, or that it was like too ridiculous or too far, and they're going to kind of scatter. It's like the Iraq War stuff. Like all the Republicans disavow it now and don't support it and say they never did. And I feel like for the Trump stuff, a lot of that is going to be the same.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you on that. Like, my stepdad seems to think that the end-all be-all is term limits. Once we get all these career politicians out of government and we bring together, like we pull in more people from the younger generation, that's going to fix everything. And I don't think that's the solution either. Like,
not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, like, there's something to be said for the incumbent advantage in the House, maybe, and even in the Senate. Maybe it's too much. Maybe something needs to be done in terms of term limits there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't have the strongest feeling for it. I think we have a lot more pressing issues related to the media environment and everything now. Like, if you were to term out a lot of these guys, are the new people elected going to necessarily be that much better? I don't know. I'm fully convinced of that.
Because, I mean, they elected the people who are in now anyway, and they're pretty fine with how that goes too.
Yeah, like there was a primary for the Trump stuff, and I mean, DeSantis had no chance. He got obliterated, and I always forget the other lady's name. The lady who ran, it was Trump, it was DeSantis, and it was like a more traditional conservative lady. I always forget.
I know you're talking.
Anyway.
Carrie Lake? Is
No.
that it? No.
But whoever it was, she got eliminated. So and annihilated. Like Trump didn't even do a debate with these people. They were so unpopular. So, yeah, there are a lot of changes to government we could make. I don't know how I feel about term limits. I don't know if that would change much. But, yeah.
And then as far as I think I was listening to you the live stream while I was at work, and impromptu came over here. So I was like, I think I heard them say that Gavin Newsom had been like unofficially crowned as like the possible candidate that we're going to run in 2028, and I was wondering, do you think he can win like on a national scale? Because
I have no clue. It's 2028 is so far away.
Yeah.
With the way that this federal government is acting and ICE and everything, we don't even know if we're going to have midterm elections for real. So I have no idea.
Especially with the changes that Trump is trying to make to the voting stuff.
Yeah,
for
like
midterms
will
and all
Gavin run? I don't know. Would he win a primary? I don't know. Like here's the thing. Like Gavin is taking strong positions, and he's representing like liberals, like the center left, on a national level, and I appreciate that. Nobody's been doing that. So for all the people who are upset at him, well, I mean, put forth your own person. Like have somebody else come out and make strong statements on the national level. I appreciated AOC's general presence before, even if she's to the left of me. I don't know why we don't see as much of her. Maybe she's more doing the inner workings of Congress stuff now, but I appreciate Mom Donnie, although now he's elected, so maybe he doesn't have, well, I mean, Newsom is elected. There are people that I want to see more of on the national stage. We just need more of these center-left people coming out and like making strong statements and being strong political leaders. And I don't know how that has to happen, but that if people don't like Newsom, then put someone else up that can stand up to the Trump regime and have a strong message that people are resonating with.
If you could have it your way, who would you want to see like on that national level for the Democratic Party and stuff?
I don't even think about it. Once I wait until it's way close to the election. I don't like to fantasize and
because there may be even candidates.
Who knows?
Who
Are you even going to know? There might be a year before, like people are starting to come up that we've never even considered before. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it. Big fan. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I love you all very much. I'll be back home tomorrow night, maybe. Probably the next day, depending on when I leave and start driving. How much more do we need for the 7,500? How much more do we need for the 7,500?
Like $700.
$700 more. Well, if we fail our mission and Trump wins, it's because we didn't raise that $700. So, I'm just kidding. Thanks a lot for the donations. We appreciate it. Do you want to ask one more question, or? Yeah. Oh, I saw you looking. Okay, no, you're good. Okay. No, otherwise, yeah. Thanks a lot for joining. We'll see you guys next stop, and yeah, have a good day. The camera still has a red thing on me. Did you put the away screen on?